Hey everyone, so this is the first time I've done an intro to one of our podcasts. For a couple of reasons, I've decided to do a little intro this time around. First of all, this week we'll be handing it over to Jake, and he's decided to do a law special. I know it's back to school season, so we've decided to do our take on it, which is back to uni or back to Universal Century. And we'll be talking a little bit about law, we'll be talking about a few suits and a few things. So I hope you enjoy that. But the second and the main reason I wanted to preface my podcast was this is the first time, this is episode 4, but this is the first time we've really had any sort of technical issues. So, first issue we had was my usual camera just does not want to play ball, and it's not wanting to record at all. So, what you're seeing now is off of my little action cam, the DJI Osmo Action. So, it's not quite what it usually is. And also Christian, who is a new face, but a very valued member of the Gunpla Idea Factory. He'll be on today, but unfortunately his stream wasn't showing through Discord. So what I've had to do is I've had to replace his little corner, as it would just freeze up at very strange moments, and then go for a little bit, and then freeze up again. So I do apologise for that, and I hope you bear with these little niggles because it is a good podcast. Perhaps if you wanted to just listen to it, but I do have a few visuals as we go through it as well, especially of some of the late kits that Christian has kindly photographed for me, so they'll be up, and that's nearer towards the end as well, so you might want to check those out. Okay, thank you very much, and let's get into it.
Hello, everyone. It's the Gunpla Idea Factory. I'm in control this week, and it's time to go back to school. Oh, you think it's funny, do you, Cody?
Yes, I do. Go Cougs.
Well,
I'm
be that the
canceled.
case, tell you what, we'll hand it off to you first. How you been? How's things?
I've been great. Thank you for asking, Jake. You're so wonderful to ask. Thank you.
Good. What about you, David?
Oh,
Our fearless leader.
I've been back to uni myself, back to Universal Century on the build table as well, man. So
Look at you.
got a lot to talk
Oh,
about.
bro, same. Chris Atria.
Ksatria.
And we have our special guest with us this week. We have the Triseed 09, also known as Christian, our other lore guy. What's up, man?
How's it going? I'm just I'm finally waking up now. Yeah, I just but I'm good. I'm good.
Awesome. So, we're going to give a quick shout out to our absentees. Of course, we've got Trey, who, as you guys know, your boy creates.
Hmm.
Then we got
Trizzy.
everybody else. We got Joe, Ken, the other David,
Other
Goof.
David.
Actually, well, should I say that? No, I'll just leave that as a surprise for Ken.
Hey, don't forget Ken.
Oh no, I said Ken.
Oh,
I
did
said
you?
Ken. Yeah, you sure I said
Just
Ken.
like in our group chat, he's in there twice.
Yeah. One Ken is not enough.
All right.
Done.
So-
Done.
Any major news developments that you guys have? Anything going on? Any projects y'all want to talk about real quick?
I Oh yeah, go ahead.
Nah, man, let
Oh,
Christian
let's
go
let our
first.
guest.
Let's let
Yeah, let's
Christian
let our
go
guest
first.
take the reins.
Because he was about to say something. He was about to say something.
Yeah, Christian,
oh.
all you.
All right, cool. Currently at the moment, I am building the plunge type mission pack for the Gundam F90. So I got that going on. The upper part's done. I still got to get to the lower part, but yeah, it's currently a work in progress.
So what are the mission packs then? Are they?
What happened?
Yeah, the plunge type. Is that the one with the skis or?
No, that's the coldness type, the C type. The plunge type is the one designed for atmosphere reentry that a lot of people have talked to have called it the Zeta Gundam cosplay. Especially because of these.
Okay. David, you said something?
Yeah, what's the deal with mission packs then? Because I'm not very well aware of those.
Oh yeah, so I'm not really gonna go into detail of each of the packs, but I will say that there's about 26 of them total, each for one letter of the alphabet. And briefly, the main reason why there's so many is to see how many options or niches the Federation can explore and see which ones are deemed worthy to produce a prototype out of it.
So
So
they're like,
basically, they're just like instead of making a whole prototype, they're like, all right, let's make a pack based on that niche, and if it works well, okay, we'll make a unit based off of it.
I get you. I get you.
That's cool.
So they can use basically just one F90 and test it through a bunch of different stuff.
Yes, but in this case, they made three of them.
I get you. But still.
Yep. All right, David, you just want to take over on what you got going on?
Oh, I got quite a bit going on actually. I've not been building much Gundam up until recently, but I've managed to knock out quite a bit. I finished off my custom Victory 2 that is actually partly Christian's fault. We were talking about it on his last live stream. And I was like, you know what? What did I say? I was like, there's a cheap Victory 2 in my local. What's the deal with those? And then he went on for about half an hour explaining how cool Victories were, and I picked it up. But I finished that, so you can check it out on my Instagram, link below. If you want to see some pictures of it, there's plenty of those. I've been spamming everyone's feed with that recently. And I've also been doing a few different little bits and bobs with top coating and panel lining, which is, I know it's pretty basic stuff, but it's more than I usually do to my Gundam. And what have I
We
done?
converted him.
Yeah, I've done the Zaku 2. I'm in the middle of doing the Zegok now. And then everyone can guess what my next suit is, can't they?
I bet it's gonna be red, isn't it?
Well, red's debatable, but yeah.
So salmon
Definitely.
or pink, maybe.
For char reasonable use. Let's just put it that way. And I've got the 2 that follow that up as well. I've got the 3 that follow that up as well, actually. But one of them's not red.
He's a variable red comet himself, man.
3
Cody,
times.
what about you?
Let's see. What have I been up to? I have not built anything since I finished my messer, and that's got to be at least 3 weeks ago. Just been super busy, swamped at work and shit, and then I went to PAX last weekend, so it's just been crazy nuts, right?
Oh yeah, that's good.
And I finally, PAX was good, man. It was busy. We have some dumb stories from PAX about how we cheesed. You know how they give out freebies? Nowadays they make you work for it. And one of the ways we worked for it was kind of cheating, but it was fucking hilarious that we got it done. So it made me happy. But no, PAX was good. It started to feel like old PAX again, so we're getting back to it. And it was in the new Summit building, which is the new convention center that they built up here in Seattle. So I'm driving to work. I used to watch that thing get built, and then now it's nice to see it finally built. And the building's gorgeous. But so yeah, that was really cool. And then just a lot of video games lately. Finally playing Breath of the Wild. I'm behind on everything, so there's that. But what I do have on my desk that I started after my messer and I just haven't built is the high grade Kisatria. I'm just gonna pull up the chicken cutlet right there. So I got it partially panel lined, but I need to start cleaning and clipping and getting that built. I think that's the last, aside from my Witch from Mercury, that's the last high grades that I have in my backlog. And I'm pretty much full stop on buying anything new because that closet can't take it anymore.
Man, my story's exactly the same, dude. I've got Kshatriya and Nightingale, and that's the last of my HGs too.
Nice.
I'm not going to stop buying
Nice.
them, though. I'm not going to stop buying them.
Oh, I mean, eventually. I mean, I picked up the Mark V on P Bandai, but that's, those big beasts really take a beating to the wallet. So I gotta
You guys
I gotta
Yeah.
ease it off a little bit.
Yeah, man.
I just turn around and look.
Yeah, then I just see you in the back. And
Yeah,
there's a
what?
reason that door is not open.
Man,
That door, the one
I'm,
next to it.
dude, I feel you like 200%. I've just bought the full armor Thunderbolt and the Psycho Zaku, even though I know we talked about it last. But
After Jake's
yeah, man,
glowing review last
but they
week,
just look so awesome together, man. They
last
just
month.
look too cool
Yeah,
together.
that's true.
And I'm like,
Don't forget, I also encourage people to try them. I mean, I didn't like them, but that doesn't mean somebody else won't. So,
thing is as well, like it's the build is only part of the actual experience for me. I kind of like having them all
Truth.
done and posed up and stuff as well. So even if it's a bit
Yeah.
of a tedious build, I'm sure I'll get something from it when it's done. But
Part of the
anyway,
experience for sure.
what I was trying to say was like I miss the days of like, $15, which from Mercury HGs now.
Yeah, dude, those were like such a sweet spot because they're so nicely done, like we talked about in the past, and pretty much everybody online has talked about. But
Just scratch that itch, don't
it's
they?
all done.
Yep.
Yeah.
OP Bandai
Glad
now.
I got myself a few of them.
well, just for kicks and grins, I've also, let's see, for me, I've got the full armors going on. Not the
Again?
full armor Thunderbolt, but the where is it? The P Bandai
Full armor
full armor
78.
that's put out. Yeah,
Oh,
the
nice.
green one.
Awesome.
That's sick.
Oh, talking about full
And then
armor.
just for
Talking about full armor as well, has everyone seen other David Bukhara 7's new project that he's got going on?
The MGSD, right? The strike.
Oh, he's still
Or not
working on
Strike,
that,
the
yeah.
Freedom?
But he's got a resin kit, the full armor resin kit for the 78.
Oh yeah.
No, I haven't seen that.
Wow.
That is sick. Has he posted it?
Yeah, I think he's done a reel or two about it.
Fair
that
enough.
would probably be why I haven't seen his story about it, so I'll have to look at that up here in a little bit.
I'm just basically tracked by stories nowadays.
Yeah.
But yeah, I decided
Oh,
I'd build the full armors
yeah.
for fall, just for kicks and grins. Full armor fall or something.
Full armor fall. Fuck yeah.
So how
dude.
do you pick where you build next? Is there some sort of like method to the madness as to how you go about choosing what you build next? And this is to all of you, like.
I think Jake, you should start with that one, considering you have the pile of loot right behind you.
Well, that stuff behind me is literally just whenever I get tired of building a Gundam. All of my Gundams are actually behind me, or behind the computer, on a shelf. Like, I've literally got every UC Gundam lined up together.
There's
So-
more to that motherfucking pile.
Oh yeah.
Holy
Oh, yeah.
shit.
You've seen the picture. I put the picture in the group chat before. I keep all my UC Gundams grouped up together so I can look at them and just be like, you know what? We're going chronologically with y'all. So here's Advance of Zeta. Here's Zeta.
So you literally are building just like this came next, and then this one.
For the Gundams, yes. And then, when I get tired of building the Gundams, then I'll grab one out of the loot pile and just be like, you know what? Let's do you.
Mix it
I
up.
dig that. I dig
Mix
that.
it up.
I like that.
Yeah. Keeps it fresh,
Nice.
How about you, Christian? Because
So
they've
they're
only
all put on
released
that
like
at the moment.
3 late UC suits, haven't they?
Honestly, Christian, how many have they done? They've done the Phantom, the Ghost is coming up, and then that's it, isn't it?
Yeah, they
Or
really.
something.
It's not a model kit, but they recently announced the anchor.
Mm,
Oh yeah,
okay,
yeah,
let's
you're
say.
right.
I'm not big on the Tamashii Nation figures, but I will admit that one looks very nice.
I'm not gonna lie. I thought that was a G Gundam suit. I thought that was like Team Netherlands or something
I mean,
close by.
I mean, a
That
lot of
threw
the
me.
suits in Dust definitely could pass as a G Gundam unit.
I mean, have you seen its weapon? It's literally a giant fish hook.
Face is an anchor.
Its
It was very much on
weapon
the
is literally
nose.
a giant fish hook that it just swings around.
Yeah, it's an anchor.
Wow. Nice.
Oh boy. Well, I'm mostly just. It's mostly just based around anything formula. But if I can get anything outside of it, like the gun easies, would be the next thing because I pretty much am trying to get any grunts related or enemy units like the Vigna mobile suits. I got all of them except for the titanium finish of the Vigna Gina. But I'm trying to get the Gun Easies now, and its variants: the Gun Easy, the Prototype, the Desert Type, and then I think it's the Bluebirds version. They're all Reborn 100 kits, but mainly just focusing on the mission packs, trying to get all of them.
Are you strictly late UC there, Christian?
For the most part, yeah.
Hold on.
And how do you?
Oh man, it's. Huh?
Sorry, man. How do you find Reborn 100s as well?
Just whenever they pop up, because I know there used to be an abundance of them when they first came out, but now they're just solely focusing on full mechanics.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, occasionally they're reprinting some of the REs, like the Nightingale and the Dija just got reprinted.
Yeah, I just copped the Nightingale. I saw it and I was like, yeah, that's not going to stay long. I better get that.
Yeah, but during COVID, they weren't doing any reborns as far as I was concerned.
Right.
They were strictly focusing on like new production by the looks of it. And when I talked to other shop owners, it's like, yeah, they're just gonna keep with the new shit and then try to get it out.
I know this is a bit of a
so
segue. I know this is a bit of a segue, but it's kind of appertaining to the current situation for any listeners who sort of follow us as they come out. But seed is everywhere, at least in Asia here in Thailand. Seed is everywhere. They've like reprinted every seed kit.
Yeah.
Like I'm seeing Ashtrays.
Seed is also just nuts.
I'm seeing all like the Justice, etc. The Full Mechanics, Calamity, and those like the shelf is just full of seed. And as someone
I mean, I should also say like your popular sets were also being reprinted. It's just reborns. Just I don't know if they just didn't hit or what.
Origins
but like
as well.
Master Grade Seed is just constantly. I mean, that's how I picked up the whole team.
But Origins as well. I'm seeing a lot of reprints of Origins make their way around, and some.
I've been seeing a lot around here too.
Yeah. I think maybe we should make this a little segment, man. I think maybe like a store update or something like this would be cool every month, just to give people an idea of what's coming up. And I know that pretty much whatever hits is basically it hits Japan first, and then about 2 weeks later it hits here, and I think like Singapore, Korea, and then it sort of makes its way to the States a month or two after as well. So it's kind of
like
if I'm
4 to 6.
If I'm seeing it here, you're going to see it in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, it was actually, I've never been as jealous in my life until I kept seeing y'all get fucking Schwarzette and Calibarn way before us. I was like, fucking want that shit.
Oh, something I did see that Gunzo, I don't know if you guys might know who Gunzo is, Cody.
Heard of Gunzo.
Yeah, they posted the other day that they are doing pre-orders for the Dendrobium.
Oh my god! Wait, the high grade?
Yes.
What's the Dendrobium?
Oh my goodness! This thing is a monster, dude.
0083.
The big mobile armor from
that one. Oh my god,
David. It's I think it's the second largest high grade. It's definitely the longest because it's got the big gun and everything.
Yeah, it's a good question. Is that bigger than or less big than the Meteor unit? I thought the Dendrobium was pretty fucking big.
Bigger than
the
or
Meteor
less big? Is that an architectural term, dude? Less big.
More or less big.
So Gunzo, I saw it the other day. Gunzo has announced that they are doing pre-orders for the HD Dendrobium.
If I bought something that big again, my wife would kill me.
Yeah, I think it said that the release date for Japan is December, so it's possible that we could be seeing it by January or maybe February.
The metal frame.
Even if I wanted to get one, like I have no space for that box. Like my backlog is.
Bro, I don't know if you see the fucking like Cy Penelope thing. That's been there for like a month and a half. Just even after building it, it's full of dead runners because I'm just I'm afraid to get rid of it.
I meant to put it in the group on Instagram for you guys to see, to flip out about and everything. I sent it to a couple people and I said they do payment plans. So yeah, I might have my grail before long, I hope.
Dendrobium is your grail.
There's an app too. Was it Shop? What was it called?
I think that's actually the one that they use. Is Shop? Yeah, for the payment plans.
Shop, Klarna, all that stuff. It's the paying for typically.
But yes, but Dendrobium is my grail kit. It is
Right on.
ever since I found out that there is a high grade of it, years ago, I said yes. And then when I lived in when I lived up in Knoxville for a while, I went to the hobby town up there and I actually held one in my
Oh,
hands in the box.
That's sick.
Yeah, it was like 2016, 2017, and I looked at it. I said, I want it, but I have to adult, and I put it down, and I regret it ever
Gotta
since.
pay the bills.
You have to adult.
Plastic doesn't pay the bills.
we've all had
I
to make
regret, I
that
regret
decision at some point.
I did the same
if you
thing.
could cue the
I,
sad music.
I did the same thing
Nice.
with that perfectibility a couple of weeks ago, man. I held it in my hands and I'm like, it's just
Perfectibility.
it's just not worth the hassle because
Oh,
I was down in Bangkok, right? And if I bought it, I'd have to buy a suitcase and I'd have to check it and I'd have to pay to check it. And I was like, wait, where do I draw the line? And I was like, this is where I draw the line.
Because you're not gonna ship it, right? You
Nah,
said Wild
man,
West,
nah.
it's
It
not
is the
happening.
Wild West. It's like I don't know how it'll turn up if I ship it.
Wait, no, is that the PG or the MG?
MG.
I don't know if you guys can see it, but if you look right next to my
I can
elbow,
see something blue and white.
Mine's up,
Oh
mine's
my
up
God.
here in the other closet, but it's in there onto the side.
and the funny part is, I actually don't know why I bought the master grade version. I should have bought the
It's
real
a little
grade.
weird for you.
Nah,
I
just
didn't even know you
send
had
it. Send it
MGs.
over here.
Well, that's the thing. If I can find somebody that's willing to trade the master grade for the real grade, would gladly do it.
Yeah, I don't know why I jumped MGs for Unicorn.
Oh,
I should have gone full RG.
just so that all you guys got an idea, man. Right, I just sent something home back to the UK last week. Right, it was a parcel 2 kilograms large. It cost me the equivalent of about $65-70 US to send back. So like
oh my God.
an MG would cost almost twice the price of an MG to send to one of you guys.
And that's the
And
price of
one that-
itself because that thing is also $120. So
Yeah,
you're
and one
probably
that
spending
size-
just that in shipping.
Yeah, but I know that a lot of you guys,
Yeah.
like when I see something cool, I'll post it up or send it directly to you if I think it's your thing. And I have no issue with it, but it's just crazy. It's just postage here is absolutely insane.
Damn, dude. Well, actually, back to your question, David. How do you decide?
How
what
do
the
I
build
decide?
order is?
Well,
do you
before it was MG, which for Mercury, MG, which for Mercury.
Oh, you traded up, okay.
But now I'm kind of just that's where like me and you were having a chat on Instagram the other day when which for Mercury ended, and I sort of had like a little vacuum from that, and it took me a little while to get back into the swing of things, but I built a couple of 78s and I'm kind of back in. I started watching Origins, I watched Doan's Island, and I kind of got the hype on
Doan's
for
Island.
the bromance, so I'm doing the red suits and the white suits, and that's kind of where
man.
I'm at now, which is good because I got a lot of red and white suits in my my backlog. I got a ton of new, got a ton of Sazabi.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Did you
well, I
end up
got,
getting the Sinanju?
yeah, I've got the Sinanju, the white one, but I haven't got the red one yet. That's like stuff like that, I think, and the same with the Banshee. They're just kind of odd ones that I don't have as part of like the collection, but they're just stuff I can pick up at any time. I don't feel like rushed.
Mm.
I don't feel. But when I saw that Nightingale, I was like, yeah, that's coming home with me.
I picked
And the
that up,
same with the
yeah.
Psycho Zaku and the Full Armor because I just don't see them. And I was like, yeah, I better cop those whilst they're available.
Yeah, popular and not printed as much. That's a good
Yeah.
call. Yeah, man.
Very good, very good. What about you, Cody? How do you decide?
Fuck, man, I had a poll last time. I was choice paralysis. Now, granted, that was for like my 50th kit, right? I think now I have a build order. I put it down in a notepad of my past kits, and then I kind of pre-plan. But how I decide is more, am I burnt out from having a shitload of runners to run through? After these two massive beasts, I loved them, but they were like sizable master grades in terms of number of runners. Even if they're mostly hollow, but it was still quite a bit of work. But I try to keep things grouped.
So you
together,
jumped
so
into the
if we do something
Kshatriya.
themed- So well, I was like, dude, I'm burnt out. I want to like not burnt out.
I
but
hate big
I wanna,
HGs.
like-
Let's build the Kshatriya.
But I'm also, I try to do it like the oldest first because I want that it's like you save the best for last sort of thing. So if the build quality and your like build experience is better later, like why would I build a not as fun one later? Because the feels bad or even worse after like finishing Witch from Mercury. You're like, David, I'm sure as you know, you go back to an older kit and you're like, this isn't doing it, man. But maybe
But-
some high or age grade.
But what I will
fucking
say
cheap,
is,
but
I'm obviously doing the old 2.0s. You know, got the Zaku 2 Gelgu. Thinking of picking up a Goof because you know you have to round out the family, right? And they're great for sort of like working on the panel lines, working on the top coat, because
true.
they're very simple for an MG. The inner frame is very much like with the Victory and with the Barbatos, like the inner frame is crazy on those, and they kind of sort of it's in and out between the actual visible panels, whereas on those you kind of you can take the top layer off and work on it, and they're nice chunky pieces like here. So this is like the knee piece for the shrimp over there, and as you can see, it's nice and easy to work on. So old kits do have sort of like a place if you do want to play with them. And to go off the back of what you just said, that's the exact reason why at the back of my backlog is sitting the MGEX Strike Freedom, and just behind that the Full Armor Unicorn, because I know that there's something I don't want to tackle at this stage.
Yeah, and then there's some that I want to save for like they're just kind of significant, like the perfectibility. You know, I mean, my unicorn. So I want to build like all of the other MGs before I get to the perfectibility because it's like the penultimate. So I got to do that. And then but it's just like, do I want to put that? Which one do I want to put first? Do I do the MG Sotheby because that's supposed to be considered one of the best MGs to build out there, and it's huge. Or do I want to like work on something a little bit smaller and work my way up to it, get my skills a little bit better? You know, do I want to fuck this up now or fuck it up less later? So it really depends. And like if I'm burnt, I don't want to blow through it. I really want to actually like, if it's that kind of kit, I want to really spend my time on it and that care, and I don't want to be in that mode of like I just want to get this done. Kind of how I felt with the Kshatriya. That's why I just backed off of it. But I'm staring at it and I'm like, those need to be cut. I need to clip them.
You painting the sleeves on that, or are you going for the stickers?
No, I don't think I'm going to do either of those. I think with the sleeves, so this is actually the sticker sheet that you get. Not terrible, pretty small. But Delphi has a series of the luminous water slides, and they glow in the dark, and that's what I have for my Messer. But I still need to do the water slides for Xai, Penelope, and Messer before I even tackle that one. And that one's that's like old Delphi, so their manual's not great. It's like pictures, and you should see the sheet. It's kind of daunting to look at, and so part of me is just like, I want to finish the kit, and I'm gonna get to that later. But I think that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna water slide it. So I do the stickers on the Sinanju, and it's brutal.
Yeah.
I will say this, Cody. There is one HG that's a big one that you might like. It's simple, so you could do it, without getting too burned.
What you trying to say, Jake? It's simple.
Yeah. The Psycho Gundam.
Okay, fair enough.
Yes.
The Psycho Gundam. It's literally like it feels like it's a giant Megazord.
Yeah.
I love its Pharaoh
You
mode.
said Megazord. You already got my heart.
Yeah, it literally feels like a Megazord.
Trey just starts popping up in the chat all of a sudden.
I
bought the
I love its transformed state. It looks like a pharaoh's chair or something.
There you go.
That transformation though cracks me up. I'm like, what did you do? What is this? What happened? Who cares?
I'm out. Soon as
Yeah,
you
it looks
say
like a pharaoh's chair.
soon as you say transform, I'm out. I'm done. I'm off.
Bro, that Zeta Verkar, dude. I don't know. I wouldn't.
Oh, I'm
So
trying
that's
to
actually the perfect segue.
trying to stay away from Zeta though, man. Oh, I'm gonna break your segue here because I want to talk about Zeta. I've been trying to stay away.
We're at the end of it anyway. So what's wrong with the Zeta Gundam?
You know exactly what's wrong with Zeta. If I get
Only the
Zeta,
real
if I
great.
get the Zeta, I want the double Zeta. If I get the double Zeta, I want the Faz. If I got the Faz, the Zeta, and the
You
double
and I
Zeta,
both know you're
you know
doing
that
that
I'm gonna want the
anyways.
Hakushiki.
Yeah, you and I both know that's
I
happening.
think
You
that's
might as well
actually a
just.
good thing, though. No,
But you
David,
mentioned, you mentioned Paz.
you
You mentioned
Yeah.
Paz. You're missing the chunky boy, that EXS Gundam.
that's
Oh, I'll get the XS. Let's go.
well, that's the
actually,
thing.
I have it.
David makes a good point that you should start off with the Yakushiki and the Dija.
I
The
should start off with the
RE1100
Hakushiki
Dija.
because it's
You're going Star anyway.
what's his fake name in Zeta?
Quattro
What's his
vagina.
what's his other
Yeah,
fake
Quattro.
name?
Fourth vagina.
Oh my
who
god.
came up
Okay,
with these
well, we
names?
broke
How many-
the- we
how
broke
many
the
names does
segue,
that
but I'm
dude
gonna
have?
pull us back around to it. 'Cause we keep on bringing up lore. So, our main topic for this episode is going to be book reports, or it's, I guess, Q&A, because
Q&A.
these guys didn't get the memo, and they're going to ask me questions
I'm gonna
because
get
they
you.
don't know a lot of lore. They don't know a lot of lore.
I'm gonna get you.
So, I guess this is where the Back to Uni title comes in, because I am quite literally a walking encyclopedia. You can ask me anything about the UC and I can tell you. Almost.
Yeah.
Almost.
And if you can't,
That's
the
why
guy
Christian-
next to you can, man.
Yeah, that's why Christian's here, because he can back me, he can keep me on track with it, and then too, he's also our late UC guy. Said I don't know too much about late UC after Crossbone, but Christian, yeah, he's
Don't worry,
got it.
man. I'll fill you in right there.
And together they complete one full universal century.
Yeah, yeah.
We just need a
just-
title card right there, David.
Yeah,
Just
no,
production
what
note.
we're missing,
Anyway.
what we're missing, guys, and let's be truthful here, what we're missing is Trey right in the middle with his love for Unicorn.
Bruh.
Trey is the bridging
Bro.
point.
Actually, me and Trey are straight, like, master grade unicorns. We're like
It's
this.
the unicorn is the bridging point between the early and the late UC.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
My love kind of ends at
All right.
CCA.
So, for this segment, I guess, how do you guys want to go about this? Do y'all want me to talk about the RX first? And then, David, you ask me about your topic since it's the next earliest?
I think that considering what our topics are for those who aren't in the know, I think the best thing to do is possibly do mine and yours at the same time, dude, because I think that my topic being white base, and Jake's topic being the RX project, they kind of go hand in hand. So if we could do ours sort of back to back, I'll sort of jump in with some questions where I believe they appertain. Then if we could go into Cody and his project being the big chunky boys, and then moving from the big chunky boys to the little fast boys. That's where we'll end up at Christian.
We will round it out with Christian down here since he's our guest this week. And
All right, cool.
he also knows about the late UC, so he'll do most of the talking for that one versus me. Because I know you guys love hearing my southern drawl accent voice.
It's beautiful, man.
Goddamn right.
All right, so I guess I'll get us started. So my topic was the RX. And
Can I get a pencil?
Fuck off.
Principal's office now. All right. So anyway, yeah, my topic was the RX-78, as everybody knows, the Grandpa Gundam. Well, the Grandpa Gundam itself is a rabbit hole. I mean, quite literally, these guys will tell you. I sent a message and I'm like,
Oh man,
I don't know.
Sorry,
how this
sorry to
is gonna
stop you,
work,
dude.
because-
Right, I'm gonna forget if
Yeah.
I don't say this. Right, before we go into our lore special, I've got a little surprise for you, Jake. And if I don't do it now, I'll
Oh,
forget,
yeah,
and it's gonna be
Well,
a horrible oversight if I forget.
What do you-
So,
I can
Or do you
also
wanna
remind
wait
you.
till the
I can
end?
remind
what
you.
do I
you
want
want-
to do? What do I want to do? I want to do your favorite
Do you
thing in the
wanna-
universe, Jake. Before we go on to do your second favorite thing in the universe, which is talk about Universal Century. And we all know what your favorite thing is. Snap, paint, or pass, right?
Okay.
Bringing
so
it back.
what are you-
We bringing it back. I'm gonna share my screen with you a minute, dude.
Yo, what up, gang? It's me, Mug from the Goonies. We all say hi. Alright, for your Snap Painter Pass, we're giving you the 3 entry grades, at least the 3 main ones. So, Strike, the Gramps, or the New. Which one you snapping, painting, and passing on? And don't forget, Sigzion!
Okay.
Hell yeah, dude. That is
Well,
so
look at
sick.
that.
So the
And that was
biggest,
me, Mug Gunpla, for those of you that don't know.
shout out.
That is awesome.
Wild.
That is awesome.
Nice.
And for those of that don't know, I will plug them right now. Gunpla and the Goonies, go check them out. They're awesome guys. Big fan of their podcast. Been listening for a long time.
Hell yeah.
So, yeah, hell yeah, awesome. You got me, David. That was good. That was good.
We're
Come on then,
we're gonna
Teach.
have to answer that question later.
Come on then, Teach.
But we have to prime it.
Yeah, I'll have to get back to me, Mug, on that one.
So you mentioned like the RX-7, like itself was the like the rabbit hole.
Yeah, the RX-78 itself, like if you go to the Gundam Wiki and look up the RX-78 project, it is a rabbit hole because there are, I think there are at least 14 to 15 units that have the designated number of RX-78.
Oh my god.
Yeah, there are the first 3 units, which are batch 1, and that's, the 78-1, the 2, the Gramps that we know,
Mm-hmm.
the G3, and then there's batch 2,
So
which
batch
are
one, batch one. What was the number 1? Because I know number 3 is the grey and purple ground type, wasn't it? If I'm correct. So what was number 1?
the gray and the number 1. Okay, so number 1 is the black and red one. Actually, I think it's got a
metal one.
master grade.
Put it up on screen.
Yeah, it's I'll get pictures of them for everybody for post production. But yeah, that one it was I think called the Prototype Gundam.
Yes.
And you can tell it's got some notable differences from the Gramps. Yeah, I think it's yeah, the legs are different. The beam rifle is a little bit different. The color scheme, of course, is different. It's predominantly black and red. And then I think lore-wise, actually, the head was different. But I don't think the model kit's head is any different. But yeah, so that's the one, and then everybody knows Gramps, the RX-78-2. Then there's the G3, which is they say that it's white and purple on the wiki, but it varies. I mean, literally, if you type in G3 Gundam, you're gonna see like gray and blue, gray and navy, white and purple, white and blue. I mean, it just varies. But yeah, and then so moving on, you've got batch 2, which includes units 4 through 8. And I'll elaborate on those here in just a minute, because then you move on, you've got the Pixie, the Alex, and yeah, that's most of the ones from the 1 Year War.
And
Thunderbolt's kind of iffy, because it's an alternate, universe or whatever.
And that's all pre-Mark II, right?
Yeah, all of those are pre-Mark II, which I actually have a bit of a blurb about each of them that I'll just run through real quick. Starting with Unit 3, because so originally I was only going to do the units that are not animated, the ones that people probably really don't know about. Yes, take notes.
Taking notes.
Taking notes.
Taking notes.
So, the RX-78-3, also known as the G3, was a test bed for the magnet coating technology later applied to the RX-78-2 that we see that allows it to move faster. It also received a laser accelerator upgrade for its reactor, which gave it greater maneuverability than the 78-2. What's up, Christian? You got a question?
Oh no, I'm listening. Like it's
Must have been some feedback then. Okay. My bad.
It's all right. It's all right. I would say if I had a question.
They got it
Gotcha.
all wrong, dude.
Oh.
Those EFSF guys got it all wrong. If they wanted it to be faster, just paint it red. We all know that's 3 times faster.
You would think.
This ain't
You would
Warhammer.
Oh, let's see. Back to the G3. It was also equipped with the newest version of the learning computer, which the Gramps also had, and which was later used in the Alex. Visually, the G3 is very similar to the Gundam, except for its paint scheme, which of course varies, depending on which media you look at it in. It was featured prominently in the novelization for Gundam, the original series. The movie, which was also a theme park ride, Gundam the Ride Abawaku, which was in Japan a long time ago. Yeah.
Fair enough.
I think somewhere out there, if you look in the deep, dark confines of the web, you can find the movie. You might have to put on the eye patch, and the peg leg. But you can find it out there.
Your her fidelity.
Yes. And then most prominently, and the one that I enjoy seeing it in the most, is Char's Deleted Affair. A young portrait of a young comet. It actually shows up in that, piloted by a Xeon Spot.
There's a
Oh my goodness.
there's a HG packet that includes, I think, the 3, right? Because it's that grey and purple color.
Yeah.
And Char's
I know
Rick
what you're
Dom.
talking about. Yeah, it's the red Rick Dom.
Mm-hmm. It's a 2-pack with Char's Rick Dom and the G3. But then there's also like umpteen bajillion other versions of the G3. There's Beyond Global, which is white and purple. There's there's like a special edition version of the Revive that's gray and navy blue. There's a ton of the G3. There's master grades for it.
Yeah, man.
And
No, it's just when you
everything.
talked about Char, I was like, dude, I'm pretty sure I've seen something like that before.
Yeah. I've threatened to get that 2-pack because, believe it or not, I don't have a G3 HG yet. But there is a specific version that I want, and I think I've sent you guys the picture of it. It's the one that was modeled after the Revive
Nah, man.
that they did
Not seen
of the
it.
Gramps. I'll toss it to you guys later then. So, moving on from the G3, we've got units 4 and 5, which are part of the second lot. The second lot were notable for omitting the core block system that the units 1 through 3 had, which is, where the core fighter fits in, fighter jet, and all that, which allowed them a variety of improvements and special equipment. So getting into those, we've got the Unit 4 and 5, which are commonly referred to as G Unit 4, or GO4, GO5, and they worked in tandem together, which are the red and the blue 78s, if you guys might know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
They have master grades. One's got the sniper rifle, one's got the big Gatling gun.
Oh yeah, the mega beam launcher for the G04. Yeah.
Yeah, that one. So they were actually specialized to work in tandem space combat in anticipation for the Federation's Operation Star 1, which is the push to Solomon and Abawaku. Let's see, both were assigned to the Pegasus-class assault carrier Thoroughbred of the 16th Autonomous Corps, which segues over to David's topic a little bit about the white base, just a little bit. We'll get to that one. See, yeah, the Unit 4, or the GO4, was equipped with a mega beam launcher for long-range precision attacks, while the GO5 can be equipped with a Gatling gun to provide support cover, or covering support, for Unit 4. Both are prominently featured in the Encounter in Space video game, and the manga Space to the End of a Flash. I have not read the manga, but I have seen and played Encounters in Space a long time ago.
And does it rank as one of
Phenomenal
the
game.
good? Does it rank as one of the good Gundam games, or one of the ones to sort of pass over?
Oh, in my opinion, it was fantastic.
Yeah, for us here in America, it was like one of the very few that we got on PlayStation 2, and it was good. I enjoyed it. I mean, how many Gundam games did we have, Christian? Do you remember, Cody? You got
Let's
any
see.
idea?
I was
As
an
far as
Xbox
rec
kid.
releases, we had Journey to
I think we
Jaburo,
only had
we
like
had
5.
Sonic Front, Federation versus Eon, Gundam versus Zeta Gundam, Encounters in Space. We had Battle Assault 2, Battle Assault 3 featuring Gundam Seed, and then there was
Oh, gee.
Gundam Seed Never Ending Tomorrow. So there was 9 Gundam games. Oh, there was the Game Boy game Gundam Seed Battle Assault, so there was 10.
There was a Game Boy game? See, I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
This
This is not
And then, of
including
course,
SD Gundam, yeah.
this is
Yeah.
why we've got Christian on, guys. This is just nuts. This is.
Oh my God.
I've been waiting for this
Prime
day for a
example,
long, long time.
Yeah.
Thank you, by the
Exactly.
way, for
See,
coming
I
on.
didn't know that there was a Game Boy Gundam game. So look at
It
that.
was for the Game Boy Advance called Gundam Seed Battle Assault.
And then, of course, later on, you get into Dynasty Warriors Gundam, and then I think there were a couple for PlayStation 3, like Crossfire, and then something else. I can't remember.
Yeah, Crossfire. That one.
So, moving on to
Yep.
get through the rest of my list here, we've got the Unit 6, the RX-78-6, which is also known as the Mud Rock.
Yes.
Which is, of the 3, Unit 4, 5, and 6 is probably the most popular
Mhm.
and most often shown.
Now, I have a question about the Mud Rock. Was it
What's up?
strictly a ground-based mobile suit, or could you also use it in space?
They wanted to use it in space, actually. It was, so whenever it fights in Jabro, which we'll get into here in a second, it was actually not finished.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, yes.
Yeah, it was not finished, and then it got damaged, so they had to repair it, and it couldn't make the launch window to get into space because it can fight in space.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the fully completed version is capable of space combat.
Okay, gotcha.
Oh, and I did forget to mention the well, I'll get to that when I finish the Unit 6. So the Mud Rock featured enhanced fixed armaments as an answer to what happens whenever the Gramps runs out of ammo, essentially. Because it only has the beam rifle and the bazooka, which is why the Mud Rock has got the 2 giant cannons over its shoulders, beam saber, beam rifle, the whole shebang. It was let's see, the Mud Rock was assigned to the Blanc Rival. I think that's how you say that. Anyway, to participate in Operation Star 1 alongside Units 4 and 5. However, it was damaged by the Midnight Fenrir during the attack on Jaburo, which is not shown in the anime. Let's see. Once it was repaired, it was unable to make the window to space, instead being reassigned to assist in retaking California base from the Zeon ground force, which is featured in the video game Zeonic Front and the manga Gundam Legacy. Now, on that note, for all 3 units, 4, 5, and 6, they do have high grades that are released through P Bandai. The units 4 and 5 have got master grades, but the Mud Rock does not.
Mm.
Bummer. Oh, look,
Yeah, they got to do it at some point.
I'm surprised that they haven't actually already.
Yeah,
maybe that's
Is
next
that-
year. Who knows?
that is a pretty popular unit.
Oh yeah, definitely, because I've actually got all 3 of them back behind my laptop here. They're P Bandai, so they're monochrome boxes. Really beautiful looking.
They did a P Bandai of the Mud Rock for high grade.
Yeah, all 3 of them have high grades in that are P Bandai releases, and then master grade wise, the units 4 and 5 have got master grades, and they're standard releases, so they're actually. I don't think anywhere in the States has them right now, but I've seen them floating around. The master grades, I mean.
Are they all master grades?
No. Units 4 and 5 have got the master grades. The Mud Rock does not have a master grade.
But I mean, is it based off of like the 2.0 or is it like earlier or?
I
Oh,
think,
yeah,
I think
those
Unit
are
4 and
the
5.
older system.
I think they're either based off the 2.0 or the Verka frame.
Oh, okay.
Or excuse me, version Cody frame. Can't say Verka. Not correct.
Oh.
Alright, so moving on. Let's try to get through this. I swear I'm almost done. I've got 2 more.
Mhm.
Yeah, 2 more. So Unit 7, the RX-78-7, was still in the planning phase when the war ended. It was later completed in UC-81, or 0081, and assigned to the Phantom Sweep Corps for their mission to hunt down the Xeon remnant group Invisible Knights. The 7th Gundam was designed with feedback from the FSWS plan, which stands for Full Armor System, Full Armor Heavy Weapon System, or something like that, to be able to equip the full armor option packs. Higher output reactor was used in conjunction with sub-generators in the armor parts to allow longer field usage with no drop in performance compared to the other RX units. And it was featured in the manga Battlefield Record UC-81. And that one, actually, it does not have a master grade, but it does have a high grade. And that's the, what is it, the Full Armor Gundam 7th, I think is what it's called exactly. Christian, can you quote me on that one?
Yeah, full armored 7th Gundam.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of get why you like high grades now then, because there's a lot more diversity as to
Oh,
what
yeah.
you can actually get with the high grades. So I kind of get it.
Oh, yeah. That was my biggest reason for jumping ship years ago to high grades, because I kept seeing all of these different, variants of the RX, like the 4, 5, 6, the G3,
Mm.
stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, they're in master grade, but they're kind of hard to find. Whereas the high grade, you just look at it and it's like, oh, that one's standard release. New types got that in for $15. Let me just buy it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So next up we have the Unit 8, which, funny enough, we don't know. Nobody knows.
That's what the one I've been curious about, like a Unit 8.
Yeah, Unit 8, next to nothing is known about Unit 8. They don't even know if it was actually produced. I mean, literally.
There's always one.
My little, my little blurb for it says, as for the RX-78-8, almost nothing is known about it, including whether or not it was actually produced. So, don't know.
It's just a trope, man. It's just a writing trope. There's always one missing. There's always an absentee.
Yeah,
Scratch
like,
for the Mark II.
There's always
They
a
had
crazy
the,
story behind the unmade unit.
yeah, they had the schematics for it locked away somewhere, but as to
Anaheim's
whether or
got
not it
them
got
now.
made, nobody knows.
It could have ended the war, but no.
All right, the last one that's for me, for my topic, for the RX. It's an honorable mention because it's not actually part of the main line RX units, but that is the Gundam Pixie, which is part of which is part of the G4 line, which itself actually is using the G3 Gundam as a base to make more advanced units. So there are a lot more in the G4 project. The Gundam Alex is actually a part of the G4 project. But for the sake of time, I just picked the Pixie. Because the Gundam Alex is. Whoa, okay, we just lost Cody.
Oh,
I think you'll be back in a moment.
okay.
Okay.
Yep,
Well.
sorry. Didn't need the world to see that. We're good, sorry.
Okay, Cody's still here. We just lost camera for him for a sec.
Oh, there he is. There he is. Yep.
Awesome.
Wicked
Had to
sneeze.
Had to take a restroom break. Those, he needed a hall pass.
Hall pass, please. I can't hold it.
Fuck off.
All right. So the Gundam Pixie, a variant of the RX-78 series, the Pixie is a high-performance close-combat ground force mobile suit created by the Federation for ace pilots during Operation Odessa. Meaning, it's only ground use. Let's see, it's significantly faster than the other RX units because it removed the core block system as well as all the thrusters for usage in outer space.
Okay.
Yeah, so you're not using the Pixie in space. You're just going to
Yeah,
float
that's
around and be
trade-off.
helpful. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
was that one giant mechanical unit then? Because the original Gundam and some of the units thereafter, they, like you said, the core block, they had 3 different segments in your core fighter. Did they remove all of that and just make it a mobile suit?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Every one of them after the G3 were literally just giant mobile suits. They didn't have the 3 segments or anything.
Sick.
Yep. Let's see. Yeah, the unit, the Pixie, I'm sorry, is lightly armored compared to the other RX units. I mean, literally, it's only got head Vulcans, dual SMGs, and beam daggers, and that's it.
Imagine if Pixie was a tank.
So it was just made to
But
be cool.
Pixie.
It was just made to be cool then.
I made
Dual
a cute
SMGs.
little fairy.
Dual SMGs.
Let's see. But the thing about the Pixie is it's fast. I mean, literally, like it puts the RX to shame. Like it's.
Oh yeah,
The Pixie is
does.
unbelievably fast.
dude, it is. Like, what was it? I played Gundam Battle Operation Code Fairy. It is a pain in the ass to fight against. Oh my god.
Oh, is that game any good?
Yes,
mean,
it
it is
is.
Sick. Okay.
But I will say it plays like an anime because you're basically the events going on in the game you're playing, but then you're watching the cutscenes like if it was an anime you're watching.
Alright.
But it's fantastic. Like, I love it.
Kind of Fire Emblem.
And as far as we know, actually, yeah, that's a good one, David.
Wait, what happened?
Said it's kind of like Fire Emblem.
I haven't played those, but I'll try it.
Where you do the combat and then you basically watch the anime in the cutscene.
Works for me.
But, so there were only 3 Pixies that were made that we know of. There was the regular one, and then there was the Slave Wraith. There was one that belonged to Slave Wraith, which was piloted by Fred Rebar, who would later go on to pilot the Ifrit Schneed in Unicorn. Little tongue-in-cheek, cameo
So that's
Easter egg
where-
appearance there.
See, this is stuff that I really need to sort of get into because my knowledge of UC kind of ends at CCA, and there is a lot of bleed over, isn't there, over into Unicorn?
Oh yeah, there's that's why you've got us. That's why you got me and Christian. Because the Pixie was featured most prominently in the video games, like 2 video games, Cross Dimension 79 and then Missing Link. Cross Dimension 79 is the one that shows the regular Pixie, while Missing Link is the one that features the Slave Wraith and their version of the Pixie, along with Fred Rebar and Vincent Glesner and a whole bunch of other characters that we'll get into it.
I wish we had a release of Missing Link over here in the US. That looks so good.
And that pretty much does it for my spiel about the whole RX line.
Yeah.
Wanted to go ahead and get that one out of the way so that these 3 fine gentlemen can have their time in the limelight and
I got a few
bombard me with questions now.
I got a few questions about the 78s you were just talking about as well, man. So, like, obviously, they were late to the game with mobile suits following the Zaku and even the Zaku 2. But were they always, like, one step ahead of Xeon? With what they were coming out with? In your opinion? I mean, obviously, I don't think there's any definitive answer, but in your opinion, do you think they were one step ahead of Xeon? Do you think Xeon was always playing catch-up after Gramps?
Okay. In terms of the Gundams, yes. But in terms of everything else, no. No, Xeon was
Obviously, they
leagues
were
ahead of the Federal.
mass producing, yeah, so... But I mean, on terms of individual technology, I mean, if they had to go one-on-one, sort of like the Stig around the Top Gear track, how would they fare?
Yeah, like the Xeon was pretty good with the mobile suits. The only thing that they suffered as a result of Dr. Minovsky leaving the Xeon side was their beam technology. It wasn't until the very end of the 1-year war where they finally mass-produced beam weapons for the Gelgoog.
Right. Yeah.
God, I love this, man.
which is the Naginata, right? The double-ended Naginata. Because
Well,
other than that, it was all
yeah, not
heat
just
weapons.
the beam rifle that the
Right.
Gogug had, the Naginata. There were a couple of other things like the Zeong with its beam fingers and all that.
That's what I was just about to get into as well and ask you about is, apart from the Zeong and the Sazabi, is there actually any sort of individual Xeon suits? Because a lot of them seem to be mass produced or custom tailored to their ace pilots, from what I can see. Like a lot of
There are a couple.
Zaku 2s, a lot of Zaku 2s.
Yeah, there are a couple of specific Xeon units, but for the most part, like you said, they're just custom versions of mass-produced units.
Right. So it is really just the Xeon, which was never finished, right, and the Sazabi, which only got.
Well, I mean, there's more to it. The deeper you dig, there's more to it.
That'll have to
But
be another
I mean,
episode, right?
yeah, that'll have to be a whole nother thing. We'll have to do a Xeon.
Xeon
version.
special.
But in your opinion, you would say that one-on-one, like apples to apples, a Gundam is superior to a Xeon mobile suit in general.
Oh, most definitely, most definitely. Typically, that's why Xeon feared the Gundam, because when they saw the dual eye sensors and the V fin, it's like, oh fuck, I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Right,
The Gundam- that's why the
which
Gundam
makes Char so
limited-
much, which makes Char so much cooler. The fact that he could actually sort of fight the 78-2 to a halt, right?
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there were quite a few people. I mean, we'll get into more of that later. But there were quite a few Gundams that held their own against, Xeon pilots that held their own against Gundams.
Mm.
But
Well,
that was
I
the
know-
thing with the RX-78 was the adaptive combat learning system, right? They're pretty much AI on board. Because otherwise, like, Amuro was a complete novice. Yeah, sure, he was a mechanic, but he wasn't a pilot.
But he was a new
So
type,
pretty
though,
much,
right? So he had a lot of stuff.
he was a
that
new
like-
type, so he had the reactions, but the Gundam also helped with the learning center.
Yeah, the
What about
learning
the fact that he had
computer
the
on the Sorry, guys. On the box of a bunch of them, it says like Sazabi for use with new type and stuff as well. So I'm guessing at some point they actually took that into consideration when they were building these suits.
Oh yeah.
I think that was the gist after, I don't know if it's after Double Zeta, but in Char's counterattack, where they built the Sazabi and the new Gundam at the same time. That was kind of like, they showed in Double Zeta that their Anaheim was building two things at the same time, but then they started putting in the Psycho frame.
Oh yeah, no, we can delve into Anaheim. That can have its whole.
Oh yes. So,
It's gonna be its own thing.
Yeah, just
be its
like
own thing.
Neon. Anaheim is the devil, basically.
Yeah.
War profiteers, and they pretty much just kept the war going.
Yes, Anaheim. It is my sole belief that while there are no good guy factions in the UC,
There's definitely a
Anaheim
bad
is
guy.
the true villain. So
Yeah.
Anaheim are the true villains because they're the ones that were going behind the Federation's back to Xeon, and behind Xeon's back to the Federation,
And they
saying,
play both sides.
saying, "Hey, we'll make those suits for you if you want." Yeah.
Yeah, that whole thing in 0083 and Double Zeta.
Oh yeah. Yeah. If you guys haven't seen Zeta, that's about the time where most of the new type machines start showing up, made specifically for new types. But segueing over now to David's topic about the white base, because this man loves his white base ship. What you got? For me, fearless leader? What do you want to know?
I do actually like the white base quite a lot because, how can I put it? Like you said, there's no good guy or bad guy. You can say both things about Xeon and about the Federation. They've all done stuff that's just heinous, right? But white base is kind of pure in a sense that they just been thrown into this shitstorm and had to deal with it. And I know that we were talking about this prior to the podcast, and I think a lot of the stuff that when I was, because us, like you watch it in the background as you're doing stuff or building Gundam. So I don't know whether it's because I was newer to the series and stuff just went over my head, or if it's just stuff that most people would sort of gloss over. But like, I have so many questions about White Base, because obviously it's kind of clear as to why they were building the Gundam, because they were getting absolutely demolished by Zaku's, and they were on their second Zaku, and I think they were on the S-type, weren't they, by the time like the 78-2 popped its head out. But there's no real information out there that I've come across which talks about White Base and what White Base was supposed to be for the Federation, why it was put into production, why it was built, why there was sort of no other ships of that class at the time, and the fact that, like, why was Bright in charge of White Base? Like, what happened there? Was he always meant to captain it, or was there some real lack of oversight, or did someone die, or what happened? I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that sort of either I've forgotten about, went over my head at the time, but it's stuff that as I watch more and more Gundam, I got more and more questions, because if I like to think about things from sort of a different point of view of a lot of people. I sort of like to think about things. That's why I like IBO. I kind of like that gritty sort of realism, Band of Brothers kind of aspect to it, right? And yeah, I think that Bright is an amazing character. I absolutely love what they've put into him. I know a lot of people don't like him as a person, but I don't think they really take into account the actual position that he's in. Like, Rock and a Hard Place doesn't even cut it with that guy, and yet he's still... Yeah, I mean, he still
People don't
goes
like
out there.
Bright.
If you ask me, we need more people like Bright now.
People don't like Bright because they'll slap the shit out of them.
So, quit fucking around and finding out. That's finding out.
Exactly. All right. So to answer some of your questions, David, and this is literally just me winging it now at this point. I have got nothing pulled up about White Bay.
I do have one thing. But
We'll just put disclaimers on the screen, just like
Yep.
this is the blurb.
Disclaimer. Full disclaimer right here.
And then he just
So,
comes out with
for the
everything
White
like perfect.
I mean, I can try, but I'm going to tell you right now, I do not know the name of the captain that was supposed to be the actual captain for White Base that dies at the beginning of the series. I cannot remember his name. So, Christian, maybe you can help me out with that one.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the name too, but I do know that that guy was supposed to be the original captain of White Base, and unfortunately, because of events going on, the next person who had the second highest rank, that was right.
Paulo
unfortunately.
Cassius.
Wait,
What was his name, Cody?
Paulo Cassius was the captain of the White Base.
R.I.P.
Okay, so that's his name. All right. Yeah, so he was supposed to be the original captain of White Base. Unfortunately, because of what happened in the events of the show,
Surprise,
Bright,
motherfucker.
unfortunately, was put into that position. So he had no choice but to step up to the plate.
What was it? The attack on Side 7, he got injured by like shrapnel or something like that, and they didn't have a medic on board for White Base.
Yep.
So he basically just bled out. Like, as terrible as that sounds,
I remember
he's
now.
like,
I remember
he's
now.
just like,
Yeah.
you know,
And Bright's
on the
only
street, they
19
can't
at the
do
time, so
anything
he's
about it.
super young.
Yeah,
Dude,
he is.
Oh, yeah.
imagine straight out of
Fresh
high
out of
school,
the
you gotta
academy,
be a
yeah.
captain of the ship.
But
I love him as a
the
character.
original, he's just bleeding out on the ship over there. As terrible as that sounds, and Bright's just like, all right, I guess I'm in charge now.
But he does it, man. He does it. He doesn't
But,
fuck around. He takes the helm,
Well-
man.
And that's another thing about the White Base is it was actually captained and mostly run by children. I mean, quite literally.
They're so
Bright
young.
was 19, Sayla was 17, 18, something like that.
Yeah, she was 17, I believe.
Amuro, Frau, Hayato, and Kai were all like 15, 16.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that
Something
was
like
down
that.
was down to sort of demographic as well. I know they were trying to sort of aim at a demographic where they could actually relate to the main characters. But it does throw in a lot of questions lore-wise because, you know, it's with Gundam you can dig a little bit deeper. And with White Base,
Yeah, it's very shonen-esque.
but with White Base, I always got that feeling of sort of black site, scapegoat, sort of psychological manipulation, as in, like, you know, drink from this cup of Christ's blood kind of vibe to it all.
Yeah.
So the reason for that is literally the Federation didn't have anybody else. Like, they did not have the people to put on White Base that they didn't already put on there that were killed in the attack on Side 7. You know, so when the White Base got back to Earth, the Federation's just like, well, you guys got no choice but to do it now. You're conscripted.
I guess this is post-colony drop as well, so their numbers are decimated at this point, right?
Yeah.
And
Well, this colony drop is what kicked off the 1-year war.
Close.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
It was a very shortly after.
It was like one of the opening shots of the 1-year war.
Yeah, because
right.
I just want to reference for our audience, and this is stuff that we've talked about a little bit in our chat pre-show, but I'm surprised how many people I talk to who haven't watched the original OVA. I think that a lot of people jump in from the the alternative series is. Like, now people are jumping in from Witch from Mercury. A lot of people our age jumped in from Wing. You've got people who jumped in from Seed, jumped in from IBO. Yep. You know, I'm surprised at how many people, even Trey's a massive fan of Unicorn, but he's not seen the first, the original series. There's a lot of people who haven't watched Origins, who hasn't watched that, who hasn't watched, like myself, I haven't watched Zeta yet, but I've explained my reason as to why I'm staying away from Zeta right now.
Zeta's so good.
Yep. To round back, though, and answer your question about why White Base was made, David, it was actually, so the Federation did not have a ship that could carry mobile suits. The Salamis could not carry mobile suits. They actually had to have them, like, hanging on the side of the ship.
Oh, yeah. I was wondering that earlier.
So they were just bailing out the Titanic then. That's pretty much... I mean, it kind of fits in with the whole, like, the whole retconning type thing that goes on with the series as it grows larger, but that's the sort of vibe then. It isn't so much secrecy and, that sort of thing. It's more like they were just chasing their own tail because they just had no clue. They were just
there was secrecy to it, yes, but like I said, most of it was the fact that the Federation Navy, or Space Navy, I guess you could call them, they did not think that they would be fighting with man machines or mechs, so it was just like naval combat in space for the most part.
They just had fighter planes.
Yeah, it was quite literally ships, fighter planes, like typical, traditional style naval combat. Yeah. And then Zeon shows up with the Zaku, and it's like, what the fuck was that? Yeah. But the response that the Federation gave was, okay, let's make a ship that can carry mobile suits, because Federation were obviously developing their own mobile suits at that point. That's why the White Base came about, as well as a couple of others like the Blanc Rival, which I talked about with the Mud Rock, the Thoroughbred with units 4 and 5, stuff like that. There were other White Base class ships, like you said, as the franchise grows and expands and all that. There were more that came about. It's just that White Base was the first.
And it was premature, as we saw off the anime. It was not intended to be used in that way at that point at all, really, was it?
Well, it was. It just wasn't intended to be used by children like they were in the original series.
For trained personnel.
Yeah. It was meant for actual trained personnel and all that, and most of them got wiped out in Side 7, and then children had to learn how to do it.
And that's
one of the most important people. Oh, sorry. Well, we'll go ahead.
No, man, you carry on first, dude.
Okay, because I will say briefly, one of the most important people was on White Base. actually we'll be talking about when we get to my segment. But yeah, that's it.
Okay, cool. And what I was about to say is
I
like
know exactly who you're talking about.
but what I was just about to say was like in the later series and stuff, especially like Doan's Island and that, it's sort of an attack ship, right? And that's the kind of vibe you get from the Gundam as well. But ever since the first episode of the first series, it's been on the defensive, right? I mean, it was attacked day one, and chased day one. It was a long time before it was actually put into a sort of, how can I put it? What's the right way of wording it?
Offensive.
Yeah, it was never really used in an offensive manner for a long, long time either, was it? Which I guess isn't a question;
Well,
it's just an observation.
yeah, part of that was also because of the fact that they didn't have the personnel. After the attack on Side 7, they were quite literally, the white base was like a refugee ship at that point. And then it got down to Earth, and of course Xeon knew about it at that point. They knew about white base from the not quite from the get-go, but they knew the Federation had a ship that could carry mobile suits. They just didn't know where it was. So when they found it, going to Side 7, that's where it all started, and they followed it. And because it presented such a threat, that it could carry mobile suits as well as it had the Gundam, Xeon were just constantly like, no, throw everything we've got at that thing. We do not want that thing, anywhere near the battlefield.
But then
period.
we got also adding sort of fuel to the fire. We got exactly what Char did with Garma, right? So Garma was hunting for that thing, and then Char led him straight into the lion's den, and then Xeon obviously had a real hatred for that thing after that point too.
In Seattle, no less.
The route that White Base took when it dropped down to Earth, it was a really weird, like, roundabout, completely just off the wall
Yeah.
route that it took. I can't remember exactly where they dropped originally. It was somewhere was it Asia, Christian? I can't remember.
No. Because I remember a lot of where it took place was in North America. Because you see,
eventually it was. But they originally, like, when they first descended to Earth, they were over Europe, weren't they?
I believe so, but I think at one point after that they were in Grand Canyon, I believe.
Yeah, well, so I think they originally dropped somewhere in Europe when they when they dropped down to Earth to go to Jabro. Their descent was off because the whole fight with Char and everything. Yeah. When they found out the Gundam could re-enter the atmosphere without help from a ship, let's see, what was it? So I think they dropped somewhere in Europe, and then they literally cross all of North America.
Yeah.
Instead of just going south, they cross all of North America, and then they decide to go south. As to why, I don't know. Because they literally, like, I think they renamed it in the show, because, copyright back in the 70s. They go from New York to California.
And they go to Seattle first. That's when Garma gets shot down in Seattle.
Oh yeah.
It
goes like this because it was new.
Was it raining
they called it
as
New
well?
York.
I can't remember. Was it raining in the anime too?
Yeah.
And then they if I remember, was Grand Canyon, and then they went up to Seattle, and that's where they bodied Garma, and then from there, that's when they had crossed over to the Asian continent, evidently, because remember they were in Odessa at some point.
Well, that was after they went to Jabro. Yeah, that Odessa was after Jabro. But literally, like, they go around it in the most roundabout way, because then they go south to Jabro. Finally, when they could have just went straight there, like, made a beeline.
Are they avoiding Xeon? Are they avoiding Xeon?
Basically, yes. They were avoiding Xeon, but, like I said, it was the most roundabout way possible of doing it, because at the same time, Xeon did not have... They did not have the air force that the Federation did.
Yeah, and Xeon controlled most of North America at the time.
Yeah. So
There
the
it
fact
is.
that like literally the white base decided to go into North America, it's just like I don't get it.
Yeah, I think a lot of it had to do with refueling. They had to find places to refuel and resupply while constantly being hunted by Rambaral and Garma.
Something like that, I think.
So they're just constantly on the run and trying to go to anywhere that's safe.
Rambaral, actually, I think him and the Black Tri-Stars, they came about after Jaburo.
Yes.
Because that was
Wait,
right before Odessa.
wait a minute. No, because remember, right after Jabberell, that's when they went to space.
I think though, guys,
Because
as well.
everything that transpired was before they went to Jabberell. Remember the Battle of
Yeah.
Deborah?
Okay, my bad. I'm thinking of the origin continuity as well. I'm getting them.
I was thinking of the OG.
Yeah, I'm thinking of the origin continuity, which I'm a bigger fan of a little bit.
I think we gotta keep it.
I like it too.
I just think we gotta keep in mind as well that like it was written as a '70s TV show at the time as well. Even though they put a lot into it, it still had that sort of monster of the week kind of feel as well. So
Yeah,
we
I
gotta
was
keep
gonna
that
say a
in
lot of
mind.
it had a monster of the week feel with certain suits and mobile armors that Xeon had.
Ain't no Zaku
Yeah,
boy.
the best way to write that was always be on the run.
So what else you got, David? What else you want to know about the Trojan horse?
That's kind of it. I think I said I was going to wait to put my tinfoil hat on, but it went straight on anyway. But yeah, I just like it because it's kind of got, you can ask those questions about it, but at the same time, when we start talking a bit more, it gets a little harder with that early in to sort of grasp at anything because it was like Gundam Man as a series, although a lot of you guys love it, I know, it is built on retcon.
Oh, it's unbelievable
At this
amounts.
point, yeah. At this point, I mean, think about it. With as many side story mangas that they keep putting out that are based during the 1 year war, they're gonna have to do a massive overhaul when they redo the original series eventually.
I tell you what, that's why I kind of like IBO though. It's so neat and tight and tidy and small and confined and just epic.
And then when you get Witch from Mercury, it's too small and too
No,
tight, where there's not
too
enough.
fluffy. It's like cotton wool. It's like cotton
I
candy.
just love
candy.
the old thing with the guy.
All right. Well, if
That's
that be the case, and David is satisfied with some of what I was able to wing for the white base, Cody,
Well,
what you got?
Well, we're moving forward in the timeline, so we're looking.
We're
We're
going
back
to
at.
UC 105.
That's right. We're at UC 79. Let's go to 105. We're past the Laplace incident. We're past my favorite, which are the unicorns, into my second favorite, Kasai Gundam. And I was just enamored when I built these things. I stood it next to my narrative Gundam in high grade, and I had the Penelope and the Kasai, and they are massive. And actually, we can put up a picture of the three comparison. Right, David? Producer check. Editor check.
Throw them to me and I'll
Magic.
stick them up.
I
Throw
got
'em
you,
to me and
fam.
I'll
I
stick
got you. I got some pictures. But yeah, when you stand them up, the narrative is half the fucking size of the Kasai Gundam. Not even mentioning the Odysseus with the Penelope flight unit. What the actual fuck happened between UC 95 or 90? Was it 98? 98 with Unicorn, and then UC 105. How did these get so goddamn big?
It was
That
96
fast.
for Unicorn.
96. Thank you.
So
Somewhere in there.
the reason they kept getting so big, because it got to a point where the Federation said, you know what? We don't need to have Gundams on board battleships when the Gundam could just be the battleship itself.
I think
I mean,
So is that the
literally,
Penelope?
that's actually quite literally the thinking for that process, because the Penelope and the Kasai both have got, are they Minovsky flight
Both
systems?
Minovsky flight systems, yeah.
Yeah. Which are the same kind of system that allowed the white base, call back to David, to fly in atmosphere, in atmosphere on Earth without having to, stop to
To refuel.
resupply or overheat or anything like that. It was able to maintain itself under gravity.
I
So
think
can
that's
they actually break into space?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that they can actually
They
break
wanted
the
to.
atmosphere.
Sorry,
What'd you
Christian,
say?
you were saying?
I was
Probably
just
like if they could, they wanted to. I'm getting a bit technical with here, a little bit of Minovsky physics, because apparently the way it produces the the lift, or it looks like it's flying without using fuel or any jet fuel propellant, is there's like an I field lattice that's created below the unit that forms like an invisible cushion, so that way it looks like it's flying without using jets. And how it breaks subsonic speeds is it
That
forms
was
like a
my next
nose
question.
I field nose cone. So that way it's like a diffusion of air going around the unit, making it faster.
So,
Yep.
okay, so when I was building the Penelope, I was like, how the fuck does this big bastard only have 2 thrusters on its back? Now I get the high grades kind of have lack of detail. But only
Yeah.
2 thrusters. How is this getting up in the air? Now you answered it. That
And
was
that's
sick.
why it's the Minovsky flight system, which, for those of us that don't know, and any listeners out there or viewers, the Minovsky particle in the UC is quite literally the MacGuffin particle. Like it can do,
The fucking truth.
yeah, it
Well,
literally is.
yeah.
Minovsky particles are quite literally the MacGuffin particle. They can do anything.
Anything we need to.
Yep, they are the MacGuffin. They are the God particle of Gundam. Whatever you need them to do, they can do it.
Except transmit radio. That seemed to be a problem. Often.
Yeah, that was the only.
Which
Like, I guess that was that was a little creative oversight or insight, I guess, for the series.
it's gotta have some sort of downside.
Hence, a lot of times they had to use laser communication.
Yeah,
Wait, so when they're on planet, right. So on Hathaway, right? I love this movie. When the Penelope is flying around overhead, how the fuck do people have like cell phones? How do phones and other systems work if that thing is just flying overhead? Like, whoop, there it goes. We just lost Hulu for a minute.
see, that's the thing. They didn't. That's
Oh
how
yeah.
you. That's how you knew. That's how you knew the Penelope and the Cassie were close, or Kasai, however you want to pronounce it. I think because literally, like you could tell, and they even reference it a couple times, and I think Unicorn when when they say disperse Minovsky particles,
Yeah.
they're
The
basically
Minovsky particle
saying
jetson.
kill radio communications.
Wasn't that also like a side effect of the thrusters going though? So when Minovsky particles, like, yeah, that you could disperse them, but it wasn't also like as soon as it thrusted, it was just like shooting them out anyway.
Well, for certain ships, no. For certain,
Um,
yeah, for certain ships and carriers and stuff, most of them just had typical, rocket engines.
oh,
Yeah,
okay.
for stuff
Okay.
like that. Now they did have certain ships like the White Base and stuff. They did have the Minovsky system to allow them to fly an atmosphere, but that was such a low concentration that it was still they could still communicate.
Right on.
Basically, what allowed the ship to hover in
Yeah.
atmosphere.
For
Okay.
that version, they called it the Minovsky craft system.
Yeah,
Damn, dude, having Christian here, you guys, man, this is too much fun. So
He's
cool.
epic, isn't he,
Everyone's
guys?
got, you
Love
guys
this
both
stuff.
have an answer. It's like tag team. Just like, bah.
exactly. Now you see why I wanted the other lore guy here because we just complement one another.
Damn. All right. All
I
right.
say something, he chimes in with something I missed, and then I chime back in. It's just a never-ending complimentary cycle.
It's perfect.
So, yeah, man. The one other observation I had, because if we're gonna have some observations, right? Um, Penelope, so the Odysseus, looks like a standard Gundam, but the Psy Gundam is pretty aggressive. It is borderline mono-eyed in its angular face and whatnot. Also, if you look at it and compare it to the Messer, they're design-wise, they're starting to get they're a little blurry. But my other observation that's kind of tied into this is that Hathaway follows a lot like Zeta, where it is kind of against the feds, and your main characters have mono eyes, right? The Rick Diaz is in Zeta, is part of the AUG, and was just very curious. Is Anaheim designed the Messer, Kasai, and the Odysseus? And also,
Yep.
why is the Messer still a mono eye? And how this is post Xeon, but very Xeonic styles of designs.
I can
How do
definitely
they end
explain
up
this
with
one.
these?
Like this one because it traces back towards the end of the 1 Year War. After the defeat of the Principality of Xeon, both the companies Zimad and Xeonic were absorbed into Anaheim. So that's how you see like Xeonic designs in the mobile suits.
Yep, that's exactly why like the Hyzak shows up and it looks like an evolved version of the Zaku.
Yeah,
A bunch of the designs in Zeta took on a more Xeonic appearance, even though they were Federation suits.
Yeah, because like the Titans would use very Xeonic suits. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Weird.
yeah.
That's
There's a spike
like
that the
Christian
Titans
said.
had some of their own research labs as well.
Yep, that's
Okay.
because, like Christian said, they Anaheim absorbed Xeonic and Zenmond, and then they also, they already had the Federation's backing, so it's like, well, we got everything now.
Just Play-Doh, smash them together. But then in like Double Zeta, you're back to not Neo Xeon, but what do they refer to themselves as?
Uh, Axis.
Axis,
Yeah,
yeah.
Axis. Yeah.
So in the new Xeon remnants again, the
Well,
first remnants.
So about that, Axis was capable of producing their own mobile suits, which is why the Gaza, the Quebli, the Queen Manza, Zaku
Okay.
3, that's why all of those looked kind of a lot different from what you see in Zeta versus, other designs that
Different
showed up.
curved shapes.
Yeah. The Rick Diaz was actually one that was designed by Axis, but Shar brought it to Anaheim whenever he left Axis. It's actually explained in the Char's Deleted Affair manga. He brought the design of the Rick Diaz and said, "Hey, here you go, make this." And then
Shit, okay.
Anaheim took it, mass produced it. That's why they had the Rick Diaz in Zeta.
Got you. Okay.
I think
I know I'm gonna have way more questions after the second Hathaway part comes out, but just the design of the Kasai is just so. It's almost Mark V-ish in its aggressive kind of angular face compared to the rest of the Gundams. And so I
About
was
that,
very
actually,
curious.
Cody, I was gonna say that the reason that the Odysseus and the Penelope look so different from the Kasai is because the Penelope, quote me on this, Christian, the Penelope was a fourth generation Gundam. It did not, like, the Odysseus did not have flight capability
Right.
without the Penelope, without the armor of the
That's correct,
Penelope.
yeah.
The Kasai, however, is a
It had
true
it
fifth
integrated with
generation
it. Yep.
suit in that it had flight capability. It could do everything that the Penelope could without the additional armor.
Right.
So it is actually a true fifth generation mobile suit.
Yes. The evidence is in the model number too, because if you just look at RX-104, that's just Odysseus Gundam. But then you have the fixed flight unit. The RX-104FF would then be referring to the Penelope Gundam, with both the Odysseus and the fixed flight form combined.
Okay.
And then of course you look at the Kasai and it's 105 with the Greek lettering for the three lines.
Yep. Oh, something else about that too. Apparently, from what I read, these are the last two units produced under the Zeta project. Apparently, I don't know. Don't hold me to that.
That's actually an interesting thought. I might have to look that up.
Because Greek letters and whatnot. Alpha, beta, zeta, friggin' gamma, nu is another one. Yoda.
Son of a bitch. Yeah.
That does make sense too, because after that, you start moving into the Formula project, which is your forte, Christian.
Oh yeah.
Isn't that a good
If
segue?
Cody doesn't
I was
have
going to say,
anything else,
speaking of which, no, and speaking of which, we're going to roll right into it.
All right. So, oh
segue.
damn.
Right, guys. So, as you've probably noticed, Christian's camera's not been working too great. I've probably replaced that in post with just a still image, but I'm going to click on him now and see if we can get it working whilst he's actually talking us through the Formula project. Right,
Okay.
so you're looking good to me, dude? Fire away.
That works for me.
Perfect. Okay. So before I begin, how much time do we have left?
We're on
About
the
this
hour
many.
40 minutes, so
I would say
about
we've been-
20 minutes, yeah.
I would say we've been doing good for this episode.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll try and be as brief as I quickly can, but yeah. So for the Formula project, that one, of course, it wasn't made by Anaheim. It was made by another company known as the Strategic Naval Research Institute, or SNRI, or SINRI for short. And this company was created in UC 0093, the same year that Char's counterattack went down.
Yeah.
And there's a theory behind its creation, and the theory is Char unintentionally created SNRI. And the theory is because a lot of the evidence is in the movie, where like they mentioned in the beginning when the new Gundam was being developed, why is that? How can it be 10 kilograms lighter? We changed the material of the frame, it's stronger now. They're referring to the Psycho frame. And all their mentioning of the Psycho frame all led up to when Chan mentioned, what a shame, Anaheim made mobile suits for Neo Zeon 2. And another one was a letter sent by Mr. October to Chan in the movie. We believe the data was leaked from Neo Zeon. He was referring to the Psycho frame. And the very last evidence was Char. If I feared for my life, I would have never given you the Psycho frame data. And from that point, because I'm sure the Federation at some point realized, you know what? Neo Zeon has these mobile suits that use those funnels that supposedly the new types use. Our new Gundam that we have uses fin funnels. Anaheim, where did you acquire the data? Basically, this is where the theory comes in. Like they're now questioning Anaheim, like, hey, how did you get this data? And from that point, that's when they had realized Anaheim's double dealings behind their backs all these years.
Yep.
So they're like,
Even
okay,
though it's obvious, and it's been obvious, I guess, to us as viewers, that it's like,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, hey, why have you guys not noticed this yet?
Yeah.
But
They explain it in Double Zeta too because they show us. They show us
Oh, yeah.
when I'm on Karn and Judo and his team. They are all at the moon base. They're like, hey, we're at Anaheim. You guys go to this dock. We're going to show you your new toys.
Right.
You come to this dock, and these are your new toys.
and to stem back even further a little bit, it's actually gone back all the way to 0083
Oh,
with
yeah.
Operation Stardust. You know,
Mhm.
Shima Garau from the Shima fleet, she literally approached Anaheim and said, "Hey, I want to buy that Gundam off of you guys," and bought the GPO4 Gabera off of Anaheim, and then converted it into the Gabera Tetra for
It's
her
just
own use. You know, it's like, okay,
the fact that
Federation.
it finally took the Federation so long, and then I guess this was finally the kick they needed. We're like, okay, you know what? We had enough of you guys. So that's when they got all their research labs, especially ones that they had on Earth, along with there was a subdivision they had that they let in, known as the Strategic Tactical Research Institute, which was referenced in the manga MSVR: The Return of Johnny Raiden. And they all formed it under the umbrella of SNRI. Now, the rest is history as far as Unicorn and Hathaway. We already know the very first mobile suit that the Sinri created was the D50 Loto. That's the tank mobile suit they made for ECOWAS. But, however, it's not a part of the Formula project. Now, we're definitely going into the Formula project now because this project itself was the final nail in the coffin for Anaheim's monopoly. So, because Sinri, what I'm going to refer to as SNRI to make it easier, Sinri proposed the idea of small-scale mobile suits to not only for the cheaper and cost-effective, especially when it comes to repairs, but also to retain the performance, like high performance. Now, Federation was thinking about this, and then Anaheim had created a mobile suit based on that idea, which was the RGM-109 heavy gun. However, Sinri looked at the mobile suit and called it mid at best because it's practically just a small-scaled version of the J-gun. It used a similar reactor with the same output, weapons, whatnot, and they're just like, dude, this is the best you could think of, and that's basically they called him out on it. So therefore, in UC 109, that the same year they made the heavy gun, that's when the Federation said, okay, you know what? How about this? An MS competition. So there was a competition between Sinri and Anaheim. So for 2 years, they made each company made a mobile suit to compete with each other. And we already know Sinri made the Gundam F90, which its model number is F90, to compete against Anaheim's mobile suit, which is the MSA 120 Atmos, which is short for Advanced Tactical Mobile Suit. Well, they call it the what was it? They called it, what did they call it again? The drag. Now, I'll try and get quick with this.
Damn,
So-
homie's got notes.
Yeah, so I'll try and be as brief as possible because I know of the limited time and whatnot. But yeah, so
Now
during
you
the
know
MS,
why the page is called Late UC Obsession.
yeah. So there was a competition between these two mobile suits. Basically, this would determine if Anaheim would retain its MS contract with the Federation, or would the Federation terminate it in favor of Sinri, which the latter ended up becoming true. So 4 categories that these mobile suits were put it against. It was max output, durability, cost of use, and mobile combat ability. So Anaheim's mobile suit won the first 2 categories, but the F90, which was Sinri's mobile suit, won the other 2, and that was just computer simulation. So the final deciding factor was a pit fight. So both mobile suits were pit fighting against each other, and Anaheim solely convinced that their mobile suit, because they developed it for the sole reason of crushing this Gundam. But in an overwhelming shock to everybody, and a big upset to Anaheim, the Atmos, or the Drag is what they call it, was soundly defeated by the Gundam F90. And mind you that after this defeat, Anaheim, because of their extreme economic and political pressure, they try to push on the Federation to reverse their decision. Federation's like, let's look at your track record. You did this, you did that, and then the final thing was the Sea Gundam. We finally had enough. Here's your contract. We're done. So they formed a new MS contract with SNRI, and from there, Anaheim's monopoly was practically shattered, especially because this was during a time of peace and no big conflicts were going on yet.
Just 36
So-
years of war profiteering.
Yes, and Sinri basically just up and all in flames.
Nice.
So the Gundam F90 was the very first Formula Project mobile suit, and this one was on the idea of small-scale mobile suit, but at the same time, it still retained performance. But the biggest factor is that this F90 was loaded with a bunch of features. One of the biggest features, which I'm not going to go into detail with this particular one, is the mission packs, which the F90, equipped with any of these, can be extremely versatile in almost any combat scenario or battle specification or weather conditions, anything. And the reason why they made so many packs is to see which ones they would deemed feasible to create a prototype and eventually lead into mass production. That was the one reason for the Formula Project, to basically fill in the ranks of mobile suits that they had at the time for small scaledness. Out of all the mission packs, there were 4 that were chosen to create full prototypes that the Federation deemed, okay, it's good. One thing I forgot to mention too is that out of all 3 F90 units are not only equipped with a Suedo piloting AI, that each have an AI piloting data based on 8 pilots. The F90 Unit 1 had the Type AR, which had the piloting data of Amuro Ray. The F90 Unit 2 had the piloting data, which was based off of Char Aznable. Unit 3, there wasn't much known until a recent volume of F90 Fastest Formula released, where it was equipped with the Type KB. The Type KB, I mean, not really much is known about it, but it could be implied that it is based off the piloting data of Camille Badon.
Yep. I was about to say, and I know that simply because of the initials.
Yes. And now, this is where I'm referring to one of the people about the white base. The person responsible for the F90's creation is none other than Job John. Yeah, Job John, if you're the Gunpla pilot from Chris's Dawn Island, that's him.
Yep.
He was the one
No.
responsible for the creation of the Gun F90.
Thank you. I was like, tick, tick, tick. There it is.
So Job John, to throw back a little bit, he was the pilot of the Gunpla. He was also the communications officer after Sayla took over piloting the what was it, the G Armor, I think.
Yeah.
He was the communications officer, and believe it or not, originally he was supposed to have taken over as pilot of I think either the original RX or a gun cannon in the original novel once Amuro got the G3. Yeah, once Amuro got the G3, Sayla would have taken over as the pilot of the original RX 78-2, and then Job John would have taken over as pilot of a gun cannon
Yeah.
from Sayla,
Oh, I had no idea.
or something like that, I think.
Another reference to a one-year war is the Gundam F90 uses an internal frame structure known as the micro honeycomb structure. This is a joint creation between Sinri and Yashima Heavy Industries. Yashima Heavy Industries is known as making the handheld weapons for the Gundam ground types used by the Kojima Battalion.
Yep. And Yashima Heavy Industries is also related to a certain pilot, or not pilot, but a what? Damn it!
Mirai, right?
Yeah, it's
Yep.
Mirai. Bright's
Mirai.
wife.
Yep. So her
Yeah.
family, Yashima. Yep.
Yes, Mirai Yashima. She is the daughter of, I can't remember her father's name, but he was the owner, basically.
Yep. Honcho. Yep. That's him.
So it all calls back.
Yep. So like there's in late UC there's reference to past early UC stuff. Also, something absurd too about the F90 is the output it has. It has 3,160 kilowatts. That's higher than the new Gundams. And not only that, the amount of verniers it has about 51 verniers throughout the entire body. And it's like an attitude control system, but on steroids.
Did you say
So-
altitude or attitude control system?
Control system.
I heard attitude, and frankly, I would like said
All right,
attitude
ignore that, guys.
control
Sorry, someone's
system.
trying to call me.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Okay. Anyways, yeah, I was saying attitude control system. So now, out of all three of the F90 units, the Unit 1 remained the exact same. Units 2 and 3 went through drastic changes, which I'll explain later on. But as far as mission packs, there were only 4 that were used data to create later Formula Project units. The first of these was the support type mission pack, which led to the F70 Cannon Gundam, which Job John was a test pilot of as well. Now, the Cannon Gundam, eventually that one led to the creation of the F71G cannon. So technically, it successfully led to the first mass-produced mobile suits for the Federation's small-scaled units. However, the thing about the F71G cannon is that Sinri basically got the plans for their F70 Cannon Gundam and just went to Anaheim and went, okay, so we want this mass-produced as is. What Anaheim ended up doing was using off-the-shelf parts, which drastically changed the look and design of the mobile suit. Granted, it had less specs than the Cannon Gundam, but it actually had higher specs than the Heavy Gun per se. Now, that's just one of the packs. The second one, which a lot of us all know, was the VSBR type. This one led to the creation of the Gundam F91. The F91 was rolled out in UC 116. That's when it first rolled out. There were 3 F91 units, which 2 of them became the Vital Units 1 and 2. When they were created, the
Sorry,
oh,
Christian. So just a second on that. What was
Yeah.
the year on the F91 whenever Vital Units 1 and 2 were rolled out?
Vital Units 1 and 2. We didn't see Vital Units 1 and 2 until about the UC 120s. In the F91 prequel, when the 123 was when they were testing out they were outlining the root cause of why the biocomputer wasn't working.
Yep. And when was when did the Cassie and the Penelope show up again, Cody?
You see 104 and 5?
So think about that. Less than 15 years, in less than 2 decades, the Federation pretty much said, "You know what, Anaheim? We don't need you." So they started producing everything in-house, and it all went from here to here.
Yeah, and the mobile suit technology advanced greatly, especially the outputs of the reactors.
And to throw a little bit of a real-world comparison in there, if you think about it, something that in the past 15, 20 years, give or take, that we've seen, cell phones.
Yeah.
True.
Yep,
Think about
exactly.
it.
I was going
Yeah.
to think of a different real world thing, which is actually pertaining to weapons as well, which is if you look at stuff from sort of, what would you say, about 700-800 years ago, right, where everyone was getting bigger and bigger broadswords, halberds, heavy armor, and then the introduction of firearms, then everyone went, you know what?
Giant
And then,
trebuchets.
Yeah, and then everything went from big to small, with the invention of firearms as well. So I think it kind of follows the real world in that. I don't see any sort of reason why canonically that doesn't work at all.
Oh yeah,
They got smaller, and then those are getting bigger, right? You have cannons, you have artillery and stuff like that, like battleship stuff, and then rail guns. Wait till we have
Sorry to cut you off,
lasers.
Christian. I just figured I'd interject a little bit and
Oh yeah, no worries, man. It's pretty good to
one
reference.
little real world example.
It's pretty good to reference. Reflecting on what's going on in real life as opposed to our fictional stuff that we really into.
Now, one more question I've got. The Jagan, it was still being produced and everything because it shows up in F91. Was
Yeah.
it miniaturized as well, or did it just stay?
It stayed the same size, but what they tried to do was extend the life of the Jagan. They made the 3 variants you saw in the movie, but they tried to push the limits of what that mobile suit design could do. Unfortunately, even that wasn't enough for the grunts of Crossbone Vanguard. At the time, before the Crossbone invasion, it held up its own against like remnant factions, mercenary units, and including Mars Zeon, aka Oldsmobile. However, when the Crossbones showed up, that's when the Federation finally decided, yeah, sorry, but the regular size mobile suits, they got to go.
Yeah, because they were too big of targets at that point.
Yeah.
Part of the
F90
entire process of miniaturizing was, they can't hit it if it's too small and fast.
Exactly.
Which is
And
why
even then,
in the big boy units, where it's like, hey, this thing is literally almost the size of a battleship. It can take a hit, yeah, but why does it need to get hit? Yeah, but why does it need to get hit? Why can't we, why don't we just make it small and then it won't get hit?
Because I like flying Doritos Cooler Ranch. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Yeah. The what was it? The F90's top its acceleration, max acceleration is about 4.20 Gs. So and if you take into consideration its small size, its maximum weight was 17.8 metric tons. It just take into account its massive acceleration with the big power to weight ratio. Especially with the big output. That thing moving fast.
How does it stay in one piece? I guess the honeycomb.
Yeah, it's the new design by Yashima.
Yep.
How do the pilots survive that many Gs? 21 Gs?
That's the thing. Like the pilot would have to go through some drastic G-force training.
I wonder
Well,
if they
not only
suspend the
that, but
cockpit.
if you pay attention to like Unicorn, whenever the Unicorn transforms, and those things like the linear seat transforms and attaches to the pilot suit,
It
it
assists.
administrated
Yeah.
drugs to the pilot to help them with staying conscious.
Yeah.
So I
You
think
see-
they actually incorporated that later on.
Yeah, they
with
called it a
the-
BioLink later, didn't they? Especially even in Victory. I'm not in Victory at the moment, but they brought back Psycho, but with the bio mechanism, which I thought was also in Zeta. Could be wrong there.
Well, Psycho Frame. Well, if you're referring to Psycho Frame, it really didn't go away completely
Mm-hmm.
because one of the mission packs of the F90, which was referred to as top secret for the longest time, used
see
Psycho
why.
Frame.
Naughty. They're supposed to get
Yep,
rid of
they're
that.
like, shh.
Psycho Frame stayed around. It's still there in the UC. They're
It's
just,
just-
not making mobile suits like completely out of Psycho Frame
Because they
material.
had banned it.
That
I
is
thought
correct.
after the Unicorn Hunt or the Phoenix Hunt, they were just like, no, we can't do this again.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, kind of. They just said we're not going to make mobile suits like the frames out of Psycho Frame anymore. But we can still use like certain weapons and stuff like that that have funnels, and we can
Right.
still use Psycho Frame, just not to that extent.
Yeah.
So do new types really play that big of a role further in the timeline? Because I know around the UC 93, 98 was, or 96 was like the turning point of, of humanity and new types. But do they play that big of a role?
Elaborate on that a little bit more.
Yeah, there's very little mention of new type, but it's still there, but just not in abundance like there was before. Especially because I just found out about it recently. There was a recent chapter of F9 or recent volume that just released, but it hasn't been English translated yet, where they explained the reason why there hadn't been that many new types since the year UC 100.
Oh, did the number of new types decrease? I would have figured that most of humanity just started kicking over as humanity went into space.
That's why I'm waiting for the English translation so I can find out more, because they're still doing more and more.
Some of it is new types didn't necessarily decrease. They just took the Fight Club route, and they don't
just
talk.
went underground.
They just don't talk about
We don't
Stop
talk
being
about
special.
New Fight Club.
it.
Well, because when I watched F91, I was really curious because you had like the antagonist was like this royal, very formal, almost monarchy kind of family.
Yeah,
and I was like,
they took an aristocracy approach on that one.
yeah, that's the word. And I was just curious, like, were they new types? I couldn't remember. That the movie was a fever dream to me on an airplane.
Seabook is actually a new type. Seabook, Uso,
Yeah.
oh well, what's his name? Tobia from Crossbone.
Yeah. Iron Mask was more of a cyber new type.
Yeah.
Yeah, I figured he was because I think he was an old school.
Yeah, Cecily from F91. Yeah, basically, new types are still out there. They still exist.
They're
It's
just not very known.
Yeah, it's just they quit talking about it, and sure enough, just like the unicorns, everybody just kind of forgot
about it.
Yep.
After
And
the
then,
Laplace
speaking of-
incidents,
speaking of
nobody
new
really
type,
cared.
This is what we're getting into F91 because F91 had several different technologies that contributed to its high performance. One of them being the biocomputer, which is like a next evolution of Psychomu device.
That's what I was referring to. I thought that's what was in the V2, but yeah,
No.
is that F91?
Yeah, in F91, the biocomputer originally was developed to help the disabled, but being funded by the Federation, the biocomputer served as transmitting data to the mobile suit's brain in the sense of sensory information.
So,
However, the device produces a lot of high heat, which the reason behind the mouth-looking face of the F91 whenever it opens, it needs to dissipate the heat, otherwise the biocomputer would destroy itself.
Huh.
you know, a lot of the stuff that you're talking about with late UC seems to be reflected quite a lot in the Witch from Mercury series as well. Like in the way that, it's like
I wouldn't
using,
doubt it if they got a lot of.
it's like we're using Psycho Frame, but we just don't call it Psycho Frame. Gundam, anyone?
Yeah. Yeah, Gundam,
Yeah.
absolutely. Like, when they first showed that, I was like, new type,
Yep.
cyber new type, psychoplate.
Well, and another thing with like Christian's talking about with the biocomputer, it actually also has another callback to earlier UC, which is Zeta with the biosensor.
That's
Yeah,
what I
it
was
was
thinking of before
a
the computer was
biosensor.
biosensor.
The
In a
biosensor that was
biosensor.
installed in the Zeta Gundam that allowed Camille to, communicate with the dead and the Zeta to become some kind of all powerful, channeling unknown energy to defeat the O.
Well, that was
Oh
the
yeah.
precursor to the
Yeah.
psychoplate because that's what the psychoplate ultimately did for Amuro and Panager.
Yes.
Well, not like I said, but then the biosensor was also like a very, very early predecessor to the biocomputer.
Right.
Mhm. Now here's the kicker. Here's the kicker. Since you guys are mentioning all that, the F91 has all three of those: the biocomputer, the biosensor, and the psychoframe. They all work in tandem to work with the biocomputer.
That poor fucking engineer who had to make all three of those work.
Oh
That's
yeah,
like Python, C# and C++ being slammed together. Just like
Oh
fucking
yeah,
figure it
she
out.
was hard at work, man. Monica Arno, that's Seabook's mom.
And I'm sure Christian can elaborate on it more, but and there's a reason that all three of those are working together, and it gives the F91 its signature effect, which I'll let Christian elaborate on.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Now, the biosensor, what the purpose for that one is used on the F91 is to detect if a new type is behind the helm is piloting the mobile suit. Now, the psycho frame, they put that in the cockpit walls of the F91, but it acts as an amplifier for detection if it's a new type, and also for use with the biocomputer. However, um, it's used only as an amplifier, but at the end of the day, keep in mind it's still psycho frame being used in the cockpit wall. Now, once a new type is detected, then the biocomputer senses that, and all of a sudden, the pilot now has access to what is known as a full operating mode. Now, this full operating mode works in conjunction with another spec that the F91 has, is known as multiple construction armor, which is an engineering byproduct of Psycho Frame, which embeds electrical functions in its material to operate. Like cooling systems also embedded into it. So what happens is when the full operating mode is active, it generates a lot of high heat. Hence, you see all the ports, like the heat vents, the heat radiator fins, everything. And all that generating high amount of heat activates the force cooling system within that multiple construction armor. And what happens, so much high heat is on the surface of the armor, which sheds off particle metal fragments. And in essence, it creates what is known as the metal peel off effect, and leaves a trail of after images, which not only fools the enemy's radar, but also the naked eye of the pilot.
You know what? That sounds just like Permet as well. Well,
Yeah,
80%.
it does. But
Yeah, it does.
basically, for any viewers and listeners and all that don't understand all this technical mumbo jumbo that we're spieling off, the
Yeah, I'm struggling. I'm holding on.
The F91 might be a machine, but it's basically shedding its skin.
Yes.
But it looks like
The
a
metal
trail
fragment-
almost
They referenced
cyberpunk.
the
Edge
F91
runners.
shedding the metal fragments. It's
what a series
basically
that was.
shedding it. Yeah.
Yep. They reference this in the F91 prequel, the first volume that I read, where the surface of the armor, it looked like it was sandblasted. So that's a reference to the metal peel off effect.
So
Like,
is-
why does it look like it's sandblasted?
So,
So what happens when it's like painted? Does it just lose its paint and its color? It's just
I
like,
mean, evidently at
new
some
paint
point.
job.
I mean,
Gone.
if you look at the movie, like you saw F91 on the shoulders, well,
Yeah.
they're pretty much gone.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
man, you all know that my next custom in line, or the thing I'm thinking of a next custom, is the F91. This is not helping me.
Yeah.
This is not helping me at all. But really, like, a matte finished F91 would be canonical as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You say it's not helping you. I think this
It's
is
not-
the exact
nah,
kick
nah,
we
nah.
need.
This is
I
not
think
what
this
I
is
need
the
right now.
swift
now.
kick
And
from
I'm
now-
the steel-toed boot.
I'm gonna chime in here as a Double O fanboy just a little bit.
Double
The
O.
F-91 and the metal peel-off effect is also what gave way to Trans Am.
Trans Am.
Exactly. Yes.
Which is what we were
Yeah,
talking about
Trans
last
Am
night,
every
wasn't it,
5
man?
goddamn minutes.
A little bit.
The metal peel-off effect is actually what gave them the idea to do Double O with the Trans Am effect and all
Yep.
that, with the after images and
Fun
the
fact,
moving,
that's
moving at 3 times normal speed. And
that's the only series I think I watched out loud when my wife is nearby, and literally every episode, every 3 minutes, Trans Am, Trans
Yeah.
Am.
Well,
They're
that
just
was season
yelling
2.
Trans Am.
Season
She's
1,
like,
it
fucking
wasn't
make them
that.
stop.
But yeah, right before I conclude the F91, what was it? A lot of the stuff I talked about, there is source material like from I don't know if it's still up now, the Gundam official website. And there is also a lot of this technological information that they reference is in the master grade manuals, like the OG, also the version 2.0, and then I also, if I remember, the 1/60th scale F91.
There's a 160.
Yeah, that's
There's a 1/60. Yeah,
old.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's an old one. But yeah, all this references
right.
the tech that I,
Okay.
so that way you know, okay, so this is legit, and I'm not just talking out of my ass.
Has anyone got one of those? 1/60th scale,
They are,
non-PG?
they are very, very hard to find. The
Yeah,
long
one guy in
dot-
Missouri has one, but yeah, I don't know about that one
Wow.
though. Yeah,
if you go on DeLong.net and look at his old tab that he's got,
Oh.
I love his website. I shout him out every chance I can get because the man has quite literally got everything.
yeah,
I mean, he's got the 160 scale F91 that Christian's talking about, the 160 scale Victory Gundam that they made, the 160 scale Wing
That's
Zero
wild.
that they made,
hmm
TV version Wing Zero, not the Endless Wall version. I mean,
yeah.
literally, the guy has got everything. Like, how do you have all that?
Oh yeah. So lastly about the F91, before we move on to Jake's favorite, the Crossbone Gundams.
Oh, nice.
Hey.
And then so now the specs of the F91 significantly, like the output especially, significantly higher. So it's 4,250 kilowatts, and that's several hundred kilowatts higher than the Sazab.
Damn.
Yep, and then it's capable of a max acceleration of 4.44 Gs. It has 51 verniers throughout the body, or 59 extra ones when you're using the variable speed beam rifles.
That pilot's dead. That,
Oh
not
man,
even dead. He's the jelly in a PB and J.
I'm surprised Seabrook didn't end up as jelly yet. Oh, if you think the pilot's dead, just wait till we get to the F99.
I was gonna say,
Strawberry.
wait till Christian gets to the F99 record breaker and the crossbone. The crossbone is even faster.
Oh yeah,
Oh man,
yeah.
I don't know if we have no timing. to
Only
the
ace
crossbow.
pilots
That's
using the
so many
F91
questions.
are able to keep up with the crossbone. And because now we're going into crossbone, which is in UC 133. The F91 by that point is now a limited production unit. Unfortunately, a lot of the features like multiple construction armor, and now there is a detuned version of the biocomputer used. So these are, for the sake of mass production, these features had to been done. So the removal of that MCA had to be done for different armor materials. So guys using the mass-produced version of the F91, they're not going to be all after image or anything like that. They're just like, nope, they're just getting the base performance of the F91.
Damn.
They
The only ones.
Bummer.
They did still keep it for a couple pilots though, like Harrison Madden.
Yep, Harrison Martin. Matin,
Oh, Harrison
I don't
Madden.
know why, but that's like a mistranslation. I'll always call him Harrison Martin.
I prefer
His
Madden.
particular
Sounds
unit.
cooler, but you know.
Yep,
But yeah,
but now,
Harrison Madden was a badass.
oh yeah, dude, phenomenal. I have the OG Master Grade and the P Bandai.
Nice.
That's how much I love his mobile suit. But yeah, speaking of, now we're finally getting into. There's one mission pack that led to the Crossbone Gundam, which was known as the Young Star type. The Gundam F90 Unit 3 evidently evolved into what is known as the F-93-Y cluster Gundam, which used a core fighter system. Now, evidently, this data was used to create what is known as the Gundam F-97. Now, the F-97s, now that I read, were actually developed to be used around Jupiter's gravity weld. Now, Jupiter's gravity weld, as we all know, is very strong compared to Earth. And when you get caught up in it, chances of trying to escape are slim to none. However, they fix this by putting the X-shaped thrusters on these mobile suits, and the thrusters at the ends are pretty big relative to their size. And they all in an X shape. However, if you form them in one column in one singular point, they generate enough thrust, more than enough thrust, to escape Jupiter's pull. And now the reason why they look the way they look is because Sinri, unfortunately, pulled an Anaheim. They donated these Gundam F-97s to the reborn Crossbone Vanguard, which is now led by Cecily, aka Bararona. That's her real name.
Mm-hmm.
They realized, okay, you know what? The Jupiter Empire evidently at some point is going to try and attack Earth, so why don't we help these guys out? Unfortunately, the Federation would find out about this. So what they did, because to match their pirate theme, they aesthetically changed not only their appearance, but also the model number. They changed it from F-97 to XM. So instead of having F-97 units 1, 2, 3, 4, you now have XM1, X1, X2, X3, and then there was X0. So there were 4 F-97 mobile suits produced. And several of these used a different weaponry, and a lot of these weaponry were derived from mission packs that did not make it to full prototypes. Although they didn't make it, like the weapons at least evolved so that the crossbones can use them. Like for example, the fight type mission pack, which has those beam brander knuckles, went into the F-97's beam shield, so it's like a hybrid weapon for defense and offense. The Murasame blaster used by the Crossbone Gundam X3, which is a long rifle, but also a big beam sword with the spikes coming out. That was derived from the guard type multiple beam weapon used by the F-90. And then those long boosters that you see in the opening chapters of Crossbone Gundam, those are actually the same booster used by the U type, the uplift type, used by the Gundam F-90.
Huh.
Yes.
I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yep.
And then,
Now-
of course, the what is it? The javelin. The by the X2.
Oh yeah, the Shot Lancer. Yep.
Yeah, Shot
A
Lancer,
signature
there you go.
Crossbone weapon.
Is the
And who
is the
better to
name,
use
right?
it? Oh, I was like, and who better to use that weapon than Zabine? Yep. Oh man, dude, he's rocking the metalhead hair too, in that one. But yeah, each of the Crossbone units each use different weapons, some aesthetic differences. However, their performance is the same. They all weigh max weight 24.8 tons. At max acceleration is 4.84 Gs, almost 5 Gs. That's more than enough to escape Jupiter's gravity weld. And then their
enough
output. Oh, sorry, what were you saying?
I said, and enough to turn you into jelly.
Oh yeah, exactly. And then they have significantly less verniers than the F-91, 34, but the verniers are a lot bigger because taking into account Jupiter's gravity. However, the output, 5,280 kilowatts. That's practically 1,000 kilowatts more powerful than the Gundam F-91.
God damn.
Yeah, so like, and it uses a biocomputer, but it does not use MCA like the F-91. Otherwise, it would have produced after images. That's hence why it has the heat vent, like in the form of a mouth.
Yep.
Several different versions of the Crossbone X1 and one other version of the X2. The Crossbone X1 went through a series of different variations. Like one battle against what is known as the what was it? I wrote it down too, so I don't forget. The Death Gale team from the Jupiter Empire. it was significantly damaged in that fight, so it was repaired into what is known as the X1 Kai. It sacrificed the scissor anchors for these screw whips to deal with one of the units' unique weapons, which it was successful.
Is that what
And
they call
then
the patchwork? Is that the one they call the patchwork?
no, the patchwork's not till like later.
Oh, okay.
That one actually.
I thought it maintained the scissor anchors. That it just gained the screw whips, Christian. Or did
No,
it actually?
that's the X1 Kai. Like in order to compensate for the room and storage of the screw whips, they had to take out the scissor anchors. But I could be mistaken on that. That's how I'd read it.
I was gonna say because I could have swore that whenever I read through F91, Seabook or well Kincaid as he's called,
Yeah.
he still had the scissor anchors in the front, so he could latch on, and then he just had the screw whips around back. On the
Oh, okay,
back
yeah, I remember now. Yeah, but the it was the chains. Sorry, it was the chains, like the chain length. Like he still
Yeah.
had the scissor anchors, but the chain length was shortened.
Yeah, he had to get a lot closer to actually
Yeah.
latch onto you.
Yeah, I remember now. And at some point, the F-97 eventually led to the creation of a limited production mobile suit, the F-97E or the XM-X10 Flint, which is a limited mass production version of the crossbow. I think I think you're familiar with that one. It looks more like a grunt unit version of the crossbone.
Mm-hmm.
They originally created that for the Federation, but they decided not to because, well, they decided not to sell it to the Federation because they would have found out about the donation. Unfortunately, they found out anyways. And so,
we're not happy.
yeah, they were not happy. They're like, really, bro? Like, after all these years, you're pulling in Anaheim. Wow. So Sinri was like, all right, fine. We're really sorry. So we're really sorry about that. So Record Breaker, I'll explain afterwards. But yeah, so the patchwork did come later on after the X1 Kai was changed into the Skull Heart. The Skull Heart was the later upgrade of the X1 unit when Tobia inherited it from Kincaid.
Or Seabook.
Yeah, Seabook, really.
Is Kincaid and Seabook the same person? I haven't gotten there yet.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Kincaid is the alias that Seabook uses.
Seabook from F91 literally just pulls a char from Zeta and goes, you know what? My name is
Yep.
Better than fourth vagina.
Yeah.
He doesn't call himself four vaginas though. Oh my god. But yeah, the X2 went through one change, but that was because of its absence of the core fighter. There was one part in the crossbow manga where Tobia was captured by the Jupiter Empire, thanks to Zabine. Unfortunately, for them, he escaped in the core fighter, so they had to make up something for the X2, and hence you saw the X2 Kai, which it no longer has a core fighter system. It's just regular old cockpit, and they try to replicate the thrusters.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result,
sorry, Christian. Something really tells me, David, you would like F9 or Crossbone if you read it.
Probably would. I've been looking at getting a crossbone for a while, but there's just none around here at the moment. Not even the RG. There's a few HGs, but I like the design of them.
The real grade crossbone I have is the clear color, and I am not looking forward to building.
Oh boy.
The best way to get all the crossbones is probably going to be either HG or Master Grade. Master Grade's going to be really hard because all of them except for the X1 and the
guys,
the full cloth.
I think it might be time to tie it up now. I got Dow coming in, and she's not too happy.
Oh shoot! Okay. So that's
she's just messing around with me now.
Sorry.
Sorry about that, guys.
I'm gonna wrap this up then. So we're gonna jump right into F99. So I'm gonna make this short. Long story short, it shares 75% of the same parts as the Crossbone, with one new innovation: the Minosky drive system. That one is the Minosky flight system on steroids. Now, According to the 160 scale instruction manual of the V2 Gundam, a Minovsky drive-equipped mobile suit could theoretically be propelled too close to the speed of light.
Bro, what?
Which is ironic because of the fact that that's actually they got the idea for the Minovsky drive system from the data that they collected off of the Phoenix. And the Phoenix,
Dude.
So we really are getting into the point where, like, to pilot something like that, you are talking about non-corporeal form, right?
not really, because the Minovsky drive system, it's a lot more tuned down, and then too the suit itself absorbs most of the brunt.
I don't
Yeah.
know. We're talking about speed of light stuff, man.
Yeah, if we're gonna go there, I also wrote this down too, because for a ship equipped for such a trip from Jupiter to Earth, even at their closest points, would take about 3 months. For a mobile suit like the Record Breaker would only take about 150 hours, and I did a different estimate that's 6 days and 6 hours, so a little less than a week.
Yep.
Just
Because
no-
that's actually one of the big points of what was it, Steel 7?
Yeah,
The Crossbone Steel 7, where they had to get from Jupiter to Earth to
Yep.
stop or no, excuse me. They had to get from Earth to Jupiter to stop the Jupiter Empire.
yeah, from firing their cannon.
Yeah, and they had to get there in like less than a week. So
Yeah,
they used the Minovsky drive system on the ship. I can't remember the name of the ship, but it got them there in like 2 days.
yeah. What was it? It was reference to what Anaheim was developing, known as the Speed King.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, all the Record Breakers were destroyed in a surprise attack by Callisto's Light, if I remember, with one of the Callisto brothers. Attacked the facility, and the facility, all the data was lost, and the Record Breakers were damaged beyond repair. The only person to ever have knowledge on the Minovsky drive system, who was also appears in Steel 7, is none other than Mueller Miguel. That's Uso's mother.
Yep. Uso's mother from Victory.
Yep.
It all
Because
tied together, man.
Yep. So, long story short, Sinri ended up in a state of limbo because the Side 2 branch got taken over by the Zanzibar Empire. And a lot of those engineers fled to Anaheim, and one of them, being Mueller, she contributed significantly to the Victory Project.
So funny enough, in the end, it actually all ended up coming back full circle to Anaheim again.
Yep.
Motherfuckers.
Oh my god.
But the
Get
thing-
rid of them.
The thing is, though, man, like, when you're talking about time scales like that and companies that large, like Anaheim of that year is not the same as Anaheim 100 years ago. In
Well,
terms
yeah.
of,
Hope. You really
Kinda
fucking
were.
hope.
Well, their monopoly is gone by the time of Victory. There is no real monopoly there. What they tried to do was create their own formula project known as the Silhouette Formula Project, where they try to steal blueprints and designs from Sinri to create their own, which they
Yep.
did create several units.
It became nothing but corporate espionage at that point.
Exactly. And they actually touched that in the Fastest Formula manga, which is still ongoing.
Shit. Alright.
But
You'd
we
hope-
can get into that another time.
you'd hope with
Yeah,
the
but-
popularity of manga now and with popularity of Gundam, hopefully they'll bring a lot of this over. Fingers crossed. Who publishes the
You would
manga?
think.
What's up?
Do you guys know who publishes the manga over in Japan?
No idea. I know
Uh,
for most of us here in the States, it's either
no.
It's Viz usually.
Viz.
Yeah.
There's a couple of other ones because I can't remember who printed the Origin manga
Kodansha.
in the big hardback book. I can't remember who did those, but most of I think even I think Frozen Teardrop, Thunderbolt. I think those are Viz
Thunderbolt's Viz.
or Glory.
Yeah, they were Viz, if I remember. They were.
Yeah. I don't know, maybe worth. I suppose we can't do anything about it, but it'd be worth looking into because sometimes I know that getting licensing from certain companies can be quite a hassle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
There's
I mean, there's always the third option of sailing the high seas.
Yeah, but we all want nice.
Fiddly-dee.
We all want nice
Translation.
copies, don't we?
as
Like
far as
MF
English
Ghost is
translation so far. Oh, sorry. What were you saying?
MF Ghost's out now, isn't it? Or coming out, as far as I know, and that's something that
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's coming out next month, isn't it?
I'm not 100% sure. But I
I
know it's been translated here, but
Uh-huh.
I think it's coming to English very, very soon. MF Ghost, and that's got the same sort of thing. I think is whatever was stopping it coming over. But we can hope. We can hope if stuff like MF Ghost is
I
coming out.
know. Big disclaimer, real quick. Bandai, please ignore this. Grips 2, shout out to him. He actually just sent me the link where Xeonic Scans has gotten their hands on Gaia gear.
Oh my God! No way,
Xeonic is now
dude! Oh,
Gaia gear.
oh my God, dude! The tech in Gaia Gear, holy shit! I'm sorry, excuse my language. Wow.
So for you two, David, Cody, since y'all probably don't know about Gaia gear, think it's a couple thousand years ahead in the UC, isn't it, Christian?
No,
Oh.
it's not. It takes place in
Well-
UC 203.
Is it 203? I thought it was
Yes.
like G Rico and Arne, where it was a couple thousand.
No. It takes
Okay.
place in UC 203. It was Yoshiyuki Tomino's original vision of the future of UC, which
Yeah.
he later deemed non-canon.
Right,
So
'cause I thought
basically,
it was
Gaia gear.
non-canon.
Yeah, Gaia gear. It's not canon anymore, but it can be if you want it to. Like if it's
Yeah.
your head canon, then you can have it. But yeah, it's farther future UC
Mhm.
with an actual clone of Shar.
Yep,
Oh.
Alfranze Shar is his name.
Yep.
He is a memory
He is-
clone of the Red Comet.
Yep, he is the only legitimate actual clone of Shar.
Yep.
What? Not full frontal?
Nope.
Full Frontal was just a guy who just looked like Shar.
Yeah, Full Frontal was he looked like Shar and he was a cyber new type.
Did he
that
look
thought
like
was
Shar or did he look like Casval?
Actually, well, I guess you could say he looked like
Or
Castle.
did he look like
Oh, sorry.
Rourke's vagina?
Oh man.
But yeah, Gaia Gear gets nuts. And Christian, I'll send you the link that Grip sent me.
Absolutely, man. I love Gaia Gear. I love the tech in Gaia Gear.
Yeah, like you guys think that it looks nuts in later UC, like the crossbone, the phantom, the anchor.
Oh yeah,
the
this is
guy,
crazy.
Like
all that-
I've seen those
quick
MS,
use
and I
of
did
that.
not think it was like UC. I knew it was like related, but I did not think it was like.
Yeah,
I
Gaia
had
Gear.
no idea. Not
Yeah.
even in the slightest.
Hmm.
And then too, they were also part of that '80s mech design. So
Yeah, I don't know why, but just the designs, man. It took time to grow on me, and now I love them.
all right,
Latest
well,
in the future Universal Century.
I think we've done good, fellas. We've kept it, right at about what 3 hours, David?
2.5. 2.5. We're
Tried.
doing
Yeah.
good.
There were other
Good.
formula units, but at least we covered the main ones.
Yeah, man. And
Well, there will definitely have to be another lore special in the future because
Yeah.
between me and Christian, yeah, we can go on for hours. I mean,
There's
quite literally.
too much to compact within these few hours. Because
No.
I can go in even more detail with this project, but yeah, that would take some more time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
We're definitely Cody. We're gonna have to get Christian involved with setting up the timeline thing and for the lore special or eventual lore special.
Oh yeah, that'll give me anxiety right there. Oh my goodness, there's so much.
Mhm.
Like, oh, it's intimidating already thinking about it because Universal Century is the biggest timeline of all of Gundam.
And I can cover it no problem. It is my bread.
Yeah.
There is something about UC though. It's home, isn't it, for Gundam? For Gundam fans, I think everyone
Yeah.
needs to, like, if you haven't given UC a good shout, like wherever you start, wherever you feel like you need to start, Zeta, original series, Origins, Unicorn, just jump in.
There's
It's
something
something
for
special
everybody.
about it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
think-
quite literally. What's
Zeta should
go ahead.
absolutely be viewed. Just saying.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Zeta is the magnum opus of the UC. Like it is
Oh, yeah.
Homie at his best.
I'll watch it at some point. I will watch it at some point. I gotta finish off Origins first, though. I'm into Origins at the moment. got a bit of a
Origins is-
got a bit of a man crush for Rambo Ral at the moment.
Fair enough.
What a cool.
I've not seen Origins yet. Actually, I think that's my
Oh.
next one.
feel bad for his
I decided to watch Kill Guy Senki.
I'm gonna have to grow my hair out, and for the next special, I'll have to get a cosplay of Ramba Rao and sit here. This is no Zaku, boy.
We
What is
don't
it?
need David all goosed up.
I feel bad for his dad, man. Like, Timber Raw, like, just he oh man. Just, finally seeing him for the first time in Origins, I was like, "This is Jim Barral. This is cool."
Oh, he is just one cool dude, man. I've just gone down like a rabbit hole on goofs at the moment. I'm just like, I'm thinking of
You
picking
don't.
up a Goof 2.0 and a Goof custom. I just think they're cool. I mean, I've put off doing mono eyes for too long. I've always loved them. I've got a shelf full of unbuilt ones. But,
Goof and Gilgoog superiority, man. The two G's.
what's that?
I said Goof and Gilgoog superiority, man. The two
Yeah.
G's.
Gilgoog, man, my favorite Xeon suit.
Why do you
I'm
think
a
my
Gilgoog type.
logo? Why do you
Always.
think my logo for Instagram is a Goof head and a Gilgoog head?
High mobility type. Mm-hmm. Good old Johnny Ryden.
Exactly.
Are
But
you
yeah,
looking
other
forward-
than that, I think
You looking
I
forward
think
to the
we've
new
pretty
high?
much covered.
Yeah, sorry, man. Are you looking forward to the high mobility types that are coming out? Are they P Bandai, the HGs, the high mobility
The,
HGs? Yeah.
The
Eh.
Gilgoog was a 2.0 of the high mobility type, wasn't it? That they're doing for P Bandai for Johnny Ryden. I know that for sure.
Yeah, Galgoog.
Yeah, that one I'd love to get my hands on. Johnny Ryden, man, he's my favorite Xeon ace.
Because his suits are actually red.
Or like crimson red.
Crimson, you say?
Oh man, it just
Yeah,
I kind of
crimson.
relate to him on a personality level, like just a very laid back.
And funny enough, everybody always looks at Johnny Ryden and Char, and they're like, "Which one is which? I can't tell."
Yeah. There was a meme that was made a while back. It had Big Cloud from Zoids, and it had Johnny Ryden because I guess they look very similar. And then it showed Johnny Ryden looking all pissed off, and it's like when your cousin visits you, but ignore him because he called you Char last year. Oh man.
That I think Xeon had a problem too because of the fact. I mean, think about it. They had Char, who is the Red Comet,
Mhm.
and then you've got Johnny Ryden, who's the Crimson Lightning.
Yeah.
What is it with them and having pilots that like red?
Red makes you go fast. You guys said it earlier.
I mean, if we're talking red, well, let's bring in the Vignagina 2. That thing is red.
Yeah. You know what else is red?
Uh,
Anybody? Anybody at all?
Oh, we all know what's red.
Transam, baby.
What's that?
no. Okay.
I had to say it just to piss Cody off.
What's
I
that?
actually
What's
didn't
red?
hear it. What did you say?
I said, you guys know what else is red? Anybody? Trans Am, baby.
It's pink.
It's as red as the red comet suits.
I'm really curious about the Trans Am and how it produces after images. Is it through the particles itself, or does it actually shed?
Come on
fragments?
now. We haven't got time for double O as well.
We're gonna go 4 hours.
That's gonna be another episode. That's gonna be another
Right
episode.
now, explained. It's
Speaking
the
of which,
GN
that's my
particle.
next set.
Okay, the
To
particles.
build
All right.
those master
Yeah.
grades. Well, I can't
And
decide
it's
between.
literally GN particle.
David's like,
All
no,
right.
please, another episode on this one.
I'm just like, oh my god. No, it's good though, man. It's good.
Don't get us in the same room, man.
In the interest of letting David get out of here, because it's about midnight for him now.
Yeah.
Oh,
I guess we'll go
yeah,
ahead and
I gotta
wrap up.
breakfast, man.
And, throw in anybody got a shout out they wanna want to sling out to anybody?
I do, yeah. If they're watching this, shout out to both my buddy from Corona, Nar Asnable, and Junkpla, because thanks to them, this kit bash that I did recently wouldn't have been possible. This
Okay.
is the Stargazer Record Breaker, is what I call it.
Right. You sure?
Basically, it's the Stargazer Gundam with a Formula Project twist on it.
Oh, cool.
Oh,
Cool.
yeah.
Cool. Well, send us a pic of that at the end, and I'll make sure to throw that up as well, dude.
Yeah. I still have pictures on my phone, so I'll definitely send you.
Cool stuff.
I guess I'll throw the quick shout out real quick to, well, I already did Gunpla and the Goonies.
You still haven't answered his question, though, dude.
Oh yeah, dude, you gotta answer it.
I'm not gonna lie, what was it again?
Snap.
Painter pass all the entry grades.
Hmm.
So strike, new, and grandpa.
Well, let's see. First and foremost, I'm gonna pass on the strike because fuck Seed. Hate Seed. Yeah.
You don't hear that. You don't hear that at all.
And then,
Like I've
I
got to
guess
say,
for
there's
Grant-
there's zero things compelling about Seed apart from they have the best suits. The two best suits
Is
come from
percent.
Seed, which
Yeah,
is
most
the
design.
Strike Freedom and the Astro Red Frame.
let's
Yeah.
see.
They're the
sure.
fucking coolest. I'll fight you all.
I really don't like the strike freedom.
So-
I much prefer
Same here,
the
man. I
freedom.
hate Strike Freedom. Sorry.
Argue all you want. This
From the-
either of them are the coolest. Yeah.
Yeah,
Pass
that's
on the
fair.
RG or on the entry grade strike. Snap on the Gramps, and then paint on the new. Because funny enough, I've actually got an entry grade new that I have not messed with yet.
Oh.
Sake.
So yeah. Thanks for the shout out, Mugs. Love you, baby.
Nice.
And I don't know. I guess we can shout. Well, we'll shout out our co-podcast, friends at the Undergated crew.
Undergated, absolutely.
Got to shout them out. Anybody got anything else?
Just
I mean,
gotta
you
say
match my
thanks.
Undergated.
Just gotta say thanks to
Other than
Christine
that,
for
just,
finally getting on.
There you go.
Yeah, and other than that, just these words basically. You guys that love UC, don't be shy of the late Universal Century. Just tap into it. You'll be amazed on what you like in there. I mean, Jacob here, man, he loves the Crossbone Gundams, and now he loves them even more.
You've
No.
converted me, man. You've converted me. I've thoroughly
yeah.
loved my Victory 2. I think it's
Oh,
one
yeah.
of the
I'm not gonna
design wise, it is fucking cool. And I'll be getting an F91 very, very shortly. Tomorrow.
I like the crossbone. Yeah. I like the crossbone, but the Phantom and the Ghost. Oh man. I know
Oh, yeah,
you
they're
didn't have time to get into those, Christian, but
Well,
you
well, for
David,
good
you
reason.
like the V2. You need to look at the Phantom and the Ghost because they are.
yeah, I didn't cover them because they're not Formula Project mobile suits per se. They're more of a Jovian design. They do borrow some tech, but they're not directly from the Formula Project.
They're like
Okay.
its descendants.
Well, we can
Kinda.
definitely
of a
talk
way.
about this in the future, okay, guys?
Yeah,
I'm already in
sure.
enough trouble as it is. I've not got a warm welcome.
Same.
All right, let's do a quick once around the room and get the plugs out, and then we'll let David go to bed.
Cool. So you got the
So
Undergated.
we'll start up above me, I guess, with Cody, and go
Yeah.
clockwise.
I don't have any specific plugs other than go Cougs. We won. We beat number 14 or number 19 last night against the Wisconsin Badgers. So absolutely go Cougs, always. And then I'd probably plug my local shops, Geek Is Us. They got a new storefront. They didn't move again, but they moved to a different shop. They got a bigger store. Shop looks nice, so definitely check them out.
And where can they find you, Cody?
Oh, geekisus.com. I figured just do a simple Google search. Would work just fine. Or geekisus.com.
David, what about you? What you got?
Well, you know I host this on my my YouTube, so give us a follow. keep up to date with the podcast. I've already got a lot of things planned for next month's episode. I'm not going to divulge here exactly what's going to happen, but once all of it's solid and we know everything's happening, then just keep an eye on my Instagram, which will be linked below, and I'll be dropping teasers and stuff for what's coming up. But I think the next podcast I'm very excited about. It's going to be a little bit different to what we've been doing.
Yeah, man, he's kicking me out.
Yeah, you're fucking gone, dude. Get out.
Yeah, technically,
all three of you, just fuck off. nah, man. This is what I will say. We are working on more lore stuff, putting it in more of a condensed package, something that's a bit more bite-sized, even though bite-sized is probably not a word I would use. We've got these three fine gentlemen, and like I said, it's been too long that I've been waiting to get all of you together, especially Christian. So it's really cool having you on, and yeah, I don't know if it'll be done next month, but definitely by the time November rolls around, hopefully you'll see something from these three guys that's going to be pretty cool.
Hopefully. Because Rabbit Hole doesn't even begin to describe it.
Oh yeah, no, it's monstrous.
But we've got forever, guys. We've got forever. It doesn't have to be done in one.
Plenty of time. Plenty of time. Don't need to rush it.
All right, Christian, what you got for us?
Let's see. For anybody who is in Southern California, whether in San Diego, definitely check out Gunzo. They had some really cool stuff. And just like Jake mentioned before, that pre-order for the Dendrobium, jump on it if you really want something that huge presence in your display. And if you're in the Orange County area, in Fullerton especially, check out Robots for Less, which is a very phenomenal wide selection of model kits, not just Bandai but Kotobukiya.
Oh, sick.
And 30-minute missions. And lastly, a shout out to anyone who is currently playing Armored Core 6, just like me.
Yeah.
The phenomenal video game. Yeah, David, I know you're playing it, and dude, 10 years and been waiting. As a fan who's been playing since the late 90s, oh my god, man, I'm glad they made it.
Cool. It's really cool.
Looking forward to seeing any of you guys online. So definitely.
Is there cross-play on that? I'm guessing you're playing on console, right?
Yeah, I'm playing on console, PS4.
Okay, cool. I'm on PC, so I don't know if there is cross-play, but I don't know. I'll have to look it up.
Anywhere, I think there would be.
Well, you definitely have access to a lot of mods, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It's getting to a point now where crossplay is pretty much standard with everything too.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's it for me.
Absolutely nuts for me as well. Absolutely crazy. I can't believe how well it runs, considering the recent spat of ill-performing games.
Yeah.
And I guess now we're back around to me, so I've given some shout-outs already. I guess I'll shout out to Vulcan Hobby, for one. If anybody in the South U.S. is going to be at Commie Huntsville, which is an offshoot of Comic-Con from Birmingham, largest convention in Alabama, come see us. We'll have a booth set up. We'll be there. And then I guess I'll shout out Gundam Place, since we're probably going to be making a trip there in October. Next month, so David's kicking me off the podcast for the next episode. I might go hang out with them for a day or so.
Yep, I got quite a backlog to build anyway, so it's like, ooh,
yeah, dude, exactly.
I gotta finish this plunge type, man.
Oh, dudes, like, if you think you're off the hook because you don't have to record, we're gonna be jumping on a lot of calls to figure out these next few episodes. I've doubled your workload. I've not taken away from it, which is something I suppose I'm gonna end with. This started out as like a little fun thing between friends, and I can't believe where it's just snowballing into something. Every month it's just getting bigger.
We now
and bigger.
need pre-production meetings. Absolutely.
I will apologize. I was late to the pre-production meeting this morning.
That's its own thing.
All right, but other than that, I guess this is the end. We are the Gunpla Idea Factory, and we will see you guys in the next episode next month. Deuces.
Peace.
Later.